Final day of voting for the Mandy Awards. Slee made sure to close out the beef of the year with John Ireland. Let's play the tape.
Would be on steroids in these things.
Yeah.
But did you guys get into that? Oh, my goodness.
What happened?
I am so proud of you.
I'm sorry, bro.
I am so proud of you.
I'm sorry, man.
He got me back.
I'm
Lee
sorry.
Just hit him with a glass of water.
No, yes.
Here's a different shirt. Here's your shirt.
I'm
sorry.
So proud of you.
I had to do it.
Oh, you absolutely had to do it. I was expecting it at the Mandy's, and it was a great sneak attack.
Yeah, not at the Mandy's.
By the way, I am drenched.
Yeah.
No,
Did you know it was coming?
I had no idea.
Yes, Slee got Ireland back, splashed him with water. The payback was on. And now, Slee took 2 days off. Brilliant move by Slee. Strike and then get out of town. Andy Kamenetsky is sitting in for Slee today as we get ready for NBA Finals Game 1 tonight, which of course you could hear right here on 710 ESPN. Let's get to it. Travis and Sliwa, your Thursday right now.
Yeah! So he did. He caught everybody by surprise. It was funny because he was, particularly Al was, disengaged during crosstalk yesterday. And a couple of times I looked over at him to kind of like, okay, let's go, and he was, you could tell, the wheels were spinning, the gears were turning, and then all of a sudden, bam, he nails him with the glass of water. It's terrific.
Well, that's part of playing possum, is you have to make yourself look disengaged, like you're not even paying attention to anything going on. You have to blend into the background in order to make this sneak attack most effective. It also, too, it's a little bit of like, remember in Office Space, Stephen Root's character, Milton?
Yes.
The one that wants his stapler and just can't get his stapler.
Right.
He's off the payroll and,
He's in the basement.
And he eventually snaps. Alan Slee was Milton.
Oh
I think Alan
goodness.
Slee would have had enough.
Well, okay, can I push back on that for a second? Because he immediately apologized. He had a towel. He had a second shirt there. That was a Sliwa way of snapping. It was still very polite in a very Alan way.
It's all relative. Like, I mean, this is Alan Sliwa's version of going postal, but it's all relative. Like,
it was terrific.
It's going to be very safe. Nobody actually gets hurt in the process. He had Ireland's change of clothes ready and stuff like that. But at the same time, in that moment, snapped.
It was great. Again, I don't have a lot of criticism of it, but he missed his head. Like, it hit him right here, Andy. Like, if you were a police officer or something, like where your badge would sit, it kind of hit him right there. I wanted it directly in the face.
It's also on brand, though, for Sliwa that the whole revenge thing isn't really going to work out.
No, it's not his lane.
Well, it just I don't see Sliwa being able to really make that thing land. It's just not who Alan is.
We talked about this yesterday during Super Crosstalk, that I wanted him to up the ante a little bit, right? Like, if you do something that's a 1 out of 10 to me, you're getting a 5 back, right? If you do a 5, you're getting a 10. Like, we're going to push it forward to the point where you're going to give up. He was given a 1 and he gave a 1. It was very proportional. Actually,
it sounds more like he gave a 3/4 because John dumped that thing all over him. He really gave a 0.75 to a 1.
I honestly think that when it comes to just saturation factor, it was a draw.
Okay.
I think it was a draw, that neither one was like fully over, because he got Sliwa more down the back than he did over the top of the head. But I'm very proud of Al. I'm very proud that he squared his accounts.
Well, except he also took 2 days off after.
Perfect.
It's a little bit.
A little scared.
It's a little bit running scared.
I don't know.
Well, no, it's actually okay. There's a remote on Monday, correct? There's a
Not
remote
for our show.
There's a remote for
This is news to me.
No.
We're going on the road.
Okay,
on
this is what I'm getting at. For Mason and Ireland, there is a remote because I was originally going to be in for Mace on Monday.
Okay.
And then Bergman texted me and said, "Don't worry about it. There's some type of remote, and Michael's going to be there with John."
Okay.
So really, Alan got his revenge and then ducked out for 96 hours.
To let temperatures come
Yeah,
back
I mean,
down
like,
again?
he got like a mild version of snapping and then took off for 96 hours. It's kind of cowardly.
I don't know. I don't know if John is going to strike back. I think that this could be the end of it. I think that this is probably not the next step, but the final step.
I mean,
But also, who knows? They love pranks. They love bits.
do.
They could keep coming back.
I don't know if Ireland is capable of remembering something that happened on a show 5 days earlier. Like, he pays so little attention to what's going on as it is. 5 days previous with a weekend in between, there's no way John can remember.
All right, a little bit of housekeeping stuff here. We're having a little trouble with the broadcast portion of this, so I would strongly recommend YouTube today. I would recommend the ESPN LA app. If you have not put that on your phone, put that on your phone. It's a great way to listen to the show. We're working on it, as they say, where this is where the guy pulls the plug out of the wall. Old school TV, when the network would go down and the little color bars would come up and somebody had tripped over the cord unplugging everything. It's kind of where we are right now. But if you've got the app, you're in good shape. If you are on YouTube, you're in good shape, and you can see Andy and I. And hopefully by the time before too long, they got us back up on the air. And by the time John and Steve and Sedano and Cap get going, we'll be back among the traditional AM radio waves.
Maybe the prank was like bad juju for the airways. Maybe Slee got the, the transmitter wet. Who
So
knows?
did you guys see this? So yesterday, like Chris mentioned, was the final day for Mandy's voting, right? And there was a bit of a conspiracy theory out there that the reason that because we were having some trouble yesterday too, that there was some saboteurs taking place to try to prevent our show in particular from getting the votes that we were requesting.
Yeah, last year it was stuffed ballot boxes. This year it's they're ripping the cords out from underneath us. They just really don't want us to win, Trav.
Look, if nothing else, we have an excuse, right? we can come up with some sort of reasoning of why it wasn't a real result. We can at least claim that.
I mean, they're probably feeling the footsteps. I mean, if they're going to this, going to this level to cut out your guys' knees, because let's be honest, last year they weren't sweating you guys at all.
I don't think so either.
Right.
Nor this year, for being
well,
honest,
I'm just saying, they're obviously feeling some degree of heat if they're going to bother doing this to you at all. If they really weren't threatened, they would amplify your show.
Has anybody been watching that White House plumber show on HBO?
Woody Harrelson, right?
Yeah, it's Woody Harrelson and
Justin
Theroux, and it's just basically about the Watergate, but like the ridiculousness of it. But I'm like, this is kind of like maybe a Watergate-esque like sabotage of us.
I have not watched White House Plumbers. Have you?
No, I've not.
It's funny. It's cute. I mean, not cute, but it's funny and a little
She sees
dark.
Everything.
I know.
Your ability to literally catch everything that is
Yeah.
on is remarkable.
I did
to me.
watch another movie yesterday. I watched The Starling Girl. I don't think I would recommend it to anybody else, but it's fine. I love
Andy's
Eliza
making a
Scanlon.
face.
It's rare that I have never even heard of a movie. I don't know what the F the Starling Girl
It was
is.
in the theater too. I saw it in the theater at the Alamo Draft House.
What is it?
But it starred Eliza Scanlon. It's about kind of a girl in Kentucky. She's in a very religious church group and starts in an inappropriate relationship. Essentially, is the entirety of the movie. So if you are interested, they are showing it at the Alamo Draft House. But my big question for both of you: do you think that fake BK is going to be at the Mandy Awards too?
I think I know the answer to this. But I think he tweeted at me a week or two ago. Might have been a month or so ago. I believe that he is.
Let's go.
I believe that he is. You saw him last year,
Yeah.
obviously. He came up to me during the red carpet portion where Susan and I are walking in, and he's coming over, and he's got this big smile on his face, and he's got his hand out to shake, and I'm like, why is Brian this excited to see me? This doesn't make any sense at all, that somebody who I know, that I text with, that that I'm friendly with on a regular basis is like, hey, it's really good to see you. And it wasn't until he was within 2 feet of me I realized it wasn't him.
No, they looked scary alike. Like, I've known Brian quite literally his whole life.
Right.
I could have mistaken them.
It's like him and Bobby Marks are like the two. Like, oh, that's BK.
Yeah.
Bobby Marks, yeah. This guy even more so. Bobby Marks is a good one, too.
Put the three of them together.
The triplets.
Actually, if we could get them all in a room and see if people could actually pick out Brian, like put like them and maybe just a couple other fake Brians together.
You and Brian's wife would have the best chance. The rest of us would be throwing darts.
Yeah,
and
that
just
guy
guessing.
looked eerily like Brian.
I believe that he is coming back. I
Good.
believe that it's happening. We'll see. We'll find out a week from Saturday. Speaking of shows that you watched, Emily, I got a chance to watch both parts of the American Gladiators 30 for 30 yesterday. It's a commitment because part one's 90 minutes, part two is 2 hours.
So it's kind of like a long movie.
It's a very long movie. I recommend it on DVR so you can power through it. Pretty good, guys. Pretty good. I know, Andy, you and I are children of the 80s, so we went through American Gladiators in real time.
You cannot overstate what a phenomenon that was in the late 80s, early 90s. It was massive.
I had forgot. I watching it again, you're like, oh yeah, it was a campaign point in presidential elections.
Everybody knew who Nitro was.
Everybody knew who Nitro was, and you were either this is the decline of American civilization as we know it, or this is awesome. There was no middle ground. This is the end of TV. This is the end of highbrow discourse in this country. Or, yeah, man, can you put it on more? There was no middle.
The reality is it was both. I mean, there's no such thing as the bottom for TV because it's just going to keep descending.
They got shovels.
Yeah, we will never we'll run out of writers, but we will never run out of shovels.
Right.
The shovels will always be there. And therefore, the not even just guilty pleasure, just the straight up crap, the stuff that really puts a mirror up to where we are as a society and lets us know we suck. Like, that stuff will always be there. But American Gladiators was legitimately awesome and entertaining.
It was real. So this was, obviously, there's WWE, or I guess it was the WWF back then.
Yeah.
And it was choreographed, like giant guys doing cool stuff, and that they could do acrobatics and all these things, but the violence wasn't real. The violence of this show was real. Brian Gudinski, who was one of the producers on the show, is full disclosure, a friend of mine who we're going to try to put on the show next week, had a great line, and he goes, "It's about the game, stupid." The reason that none of this other thing, the games there were incredibly compelling. They were incredibly violent. You never really knew who was going to win. That there was this sense of what's going to happen next. That is what made that show. And then the costumes and the pageantry and all that stuff. But the games themselves were wildly entertaining.
Well, it was rollerball,
yes.
But for real. Like, if people
Where's
remember
Richard Dawson when you need him?
Yeah, it was rollerball. It was the Running Man.
Right.
It's not quite. What's the show that? What's the Netflix show, Korean show about the game show?
Squid Game.
Not quite Squid Game.
Squid Game.
It's not quite Squid Game. It's not quite the Hunger Games, but it's as close as
in
you
the
can.
Neighborhood.
Yeah, it's as close as you can get without people dying intentionally.
And it's a very well done show. I'm talking about the doc, the 30 for 30. It is sad. It's dark.
Yeah.
And it is wildly compelling. Highly would recommend. I don't see everything, but for what I did see, I put it this way. I committed 3 hours of TV time yesterday. When part 2 came up, I'm like, let's go.
That's a snack for Emily.
It was
3 hours. That's nothing.
I powered through it. It was absolutely terrific. All right, let's talk a little bit about the NBA Finals, which start tonight. Andy, you said something interesting that I hadn't really thought about that I think is a good point. The result of this final is going to tell us a lot about the Lakers. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. AutoZone has the free services you need to help you get back on the road, like their free AutoZone Fix Finder service. The AutoZone Fix Finder service not only identifies the check engine light code, but it also helps identify the most likely cause of the check engine light being on. The information provided by the free AutoZone Fix Finder service is verified by data from over 5.5 million ASE-certified technicians, and with over 5,600 locations nationwide, AutoZone is here to help you save time and money with their free services. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
ESPN LA contest rules. 10 ESPN.
I'm going to take a guess that you had a Le Tigre shirt at some point in your life.
No. I don't even know what Le Tigre is.
Oh my gosh, a huge upset by me. It was Izod, knockoff Izod. It was a tiger instead of a alligator.
Oh, I didn't know that was. I did not know that was called Le Tigre.
Yeah.
I did not have one,
But you know it.
I know it. Yes.
All right, so today is the Scripps National Spelling Bee. So I don't think we have spelling bee music, so I asked to put the Jeopardy music on. So throughout the day, I want to give you guys just your own, spelling test throughout the day. So, you guys ready?
Yes, I'm going to get. Can I just tap out right now? I got no shot
No,
at
I
this.
think
Let's
you
go.
got it. The first three are going to be really easy, so
All right.
be ready.
What
So,
level of spelling words are we picking from here?
It's 7th and 8th grade spelling bee list.
I'm screwed.
I think you're good. Are you smarter than a 5th grader?
No.
All right, so Trav, we're going to start with you. And we're
right.
going to do one, obviously, that's close to both of your hearts. The word is chimpanzee. So can you spell chimpanzee?
B-O-B-O. Bobo.
Like it.
It's C-H-I-M-P-A-N-Z-E-E.
Correct. Ding, ding, ding. That is right. First one on the board. All right, Andy, your first word is bayou. Can you spell bayou?
As in, like, born on the bayou?
Yes.
Like, okay. B-A-Y-O-U?
Correct. Ding, ding, ding. That is right. All
This
right,
is 7th and 8th grade level now?
Yes. This is just, but also we're starting off easy this first
Kids
round.
aren't learning a damn thing. It's like 14-year-olds.
I was going to say.
All right. So, Brian, you're next. Your word is immediately. Your word's immediately.
Wow. I-M-M-I-T-E-L-Y.
That is incorrect.
Too many eyes.
That is way incorrect.
Too many eyes.
All right.
It's not even a word what you threw out there.
I immediately knew that was wrong.
Yeah.
As soon as she said it,
No,
I
you
had no clue.
immediately knew that was wrong.
The word is spelled I-M-M-E-D-I-A-T-E-L-Y.
Wow, it's way off. I don't even have a D in there.
So that's our first three words. I'm going to have a few throughout the show, so those are the first three.
Can I just take the cash and run? Like, I don't want to compete for the grand prize. What was that one where deal or no deal? I'll take the deal and I'm out of here. I think today is National Game Show Day too. Did I see
Yes,
that on
it
your
is.
rundown list? Deal or no deal kind of always struck me as one that didn't make a lot of sense to me because you're just guessing, right? And then eventually hit a number like, yeah, I'll just take that. Then there's not a lot
Like
of
odds, I guess.
I guess there is, but I never got the sense that a lot of the contestants were odds makers.
So who wants to be a millionaire? You would have walked away with like $200.
I would have gone beyond that, but I wouldn't have gotten into like the $250,000 range. Once we got into something with a comma, I'm taking that money and I'm out. Right? I'll get it at $1,500. I'm out of here.
No, thank you.
You got all your lifelines up. I don't care. I'm leaving. I'm taking this money and I'm getting the hell out of here. We were talking a little bit this morning before the show, and you said something that I hadn't really thought about with the result of the finals, which starts tonight. Will tell us a lot about what the Lakers did this most recent season.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers went out to Denver in a sweep. But I think as far as sweeps go, this was a pretty competitive sweep. Like, Denver was definitely the better team. There's no question about that. They had a much wider margin for error, and that became really clear as this series went along. But the Lakers were able to legitimately push them, legitimately hang with them. They had opportunities that they couldn't cash in on in, I think, very large part. Denver had a wider margin for error, and they're just better. But if Miami pushes them to 6 or 7 games, you might not feel quite as good as you might have felt before about where the Lakers stand moving forward, their potential, particularly if you look to run it back. If Miami goes out in 4 or 5 games, then you start looking at it and say, all right, Denver really was just the best team in the league.
They went through everybody.
Right. They went through everybody. This was just their year. Maybe this is just who they are moving forward, and they're going to be running off, 4 or 5 seasons where they win a couple championships, and they're just better than everyone. But if Miami loses in 4 or 5 games, you could look at what the Lakers did without any continuity, built on the fly, missing LeBron for a lot of it, and saying, all right, you open this thing up with a training camp. and the ability to start creating counters to counters and start coming up with the plays that you don't even show in the regular season. You save them for the playoffs, which clearly this year the Lakers had no time to do after the trade deadline. You could actually feel even better about the potential of running it back.
And you mentioned they had to play a stretch towards the end of the regular season without LeBron, and when they did get LeBron, he was hobbled. Right? I know he played well, but he clearly was not at his best.
He was playing with a foot that likely requires surgery.
2 doctors told him to shut it down and get it fixed, and he went to the LeBron James of feet and got the answer he was looking for and went and played and played really well. But, yeah, it wasn't just that he missed time. He was hobbled. He was less than his best.
And AD was playing on a foot that may also require surgery or certainly some type of maintenance.
So if that's true, and I'm inclined to believe that it is, that if the Heat get dispatched relatively quickly, which most people think is going to happen, then the Lakers are in the mix among the best teams in the NBA as recently constructed. Is the opposite true too? That if Miami gives them a fight, that if Miami pushes it to a 6th or 7th game, and let's just say it goes 5 or 6, but it's also kind of similar to what we saw with the Lakers, where they're in it. Is the opposite true too, where it's just that, hey, they're not nearly as close as we might have thought?
I think they're still in the orbit of Denver, just because I think it was evident the Lakers were in this year's Western Conference playoffs the second best team. Like, I don't think there was any team.
It's not a stretch.
I don't think there was any team in the West that was better than them. I'm not saying that they would have automatically run through all of these teams, but Memphis and Golden State were considered by a lot of people 2 of the better teams in the West in these playoffs, and the Lakers controlled those series both times around, I think, pretty definitively. I think the Lakers were better than Phoenix. The Clippers have always been their bugaboo matchup, but in an actual series with no Paul George, no Kawhi for half of it, I think the Lakers could get through that.
That to me is the one that the Phoenix, could they beat Phoenix? Yes. They took out Memphis and who am I forgetting on the second? Golden State. They took care of those.
I know Phoenix went 6 games against Denver as opposed to 4, but that also required Devin Booker and Kevin Durant
performance from those guys.
And Phoenix barely won those games.
I was going to say, Devin Booker, he shot like 78% for a 2-game stretch, and they had nail-biting games in both of those situations. The Clipper one, though, is the one that's fascinating to me, because even when the Clippers are something less than the best version of themselves, which is frequently because their 2 best players miss time all the time, they seem to always kind of give the Lakers the business. What is it, 11 in a row or something like 37 of 45? It's a weird lopsided total, and it hasn't always coincided with the Clippers missing their guys or the Lakers missing their guys. Frequently, it's both teams at their best, both teams not at their best. That's the only other team in the West you're like, yeah, that they didn't have to play them was probably good. Everyone else I'll sign off on, but the Clipper one's like, I don't know. Even if it was some bastardized version of the Clippers, that would still scare me.
On an individual game-by-game basis, absolutely, because the track record speaks for itself. But I think in a series where you can really start picking apart things that your opponent is missing, in this particular case, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, I think eventually the Lakers would have come out of that one.
This feels like I said this as the playoffs were just about to start, because we kind of did a thing that at the beginning of the playoffs, we all picked a team out of the West. And I think Taylor and Emily both picked the Nuggets, and Al and I both picked the Suns at that moment. And then after the first round, everybody switched to the Nuggets, like Nuggets. I know hindsight and all the 2020-ness of it all, right? But this feels like one of those things that fast forward 10 days from now, 2 weeks from now, and the NBA Finals are done, and the Denver Nuggets are champions. It's going to be like, well, of course they were. They were the best team in the regular season. They were the best team in the playoffs. No one really pushed them. Why did we talk ourselves into any of these other teams? Well, if they closed the show, it's one of those, in retrospect, well, of course they were going to win the title.
My theory on why I think it took so long for people to accept how good Denver is, twofold. First of all, they had some playoff disappointments over the last couple of years, and people were, I think, very conveniently forgetting that they were missing either Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., or both of them in those playoffs. I think they were also forgetting This team brought in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Bruce Brown, like guys who addressed the defensive issues they had. But also, too, I think the debate over Jokic winning 3 straight championships.
Stupid.
It was stupid, but people...
MVPs.
There were, MVPs. The idea that Jokic is going to do this a 3rd straight year, having never won a championship before, there's something unspoken about that, which is I don't think he's going to win this year. And because people were spending so much time detracting from Jokic, I think they were, by extension, detracting from Denver. Because the sample size with Denver was pretty big.
Yes.
Pretty obvious they were really good. They were really good.
Going back to the Lakers again, and I do think that the Lakers had a good team. By the end of the season, they were banged up, but so's kind of everybody else. That's the end of the season, and you kind of get what you get when it comes to injuries. You can talk about Milwaukee and other. You get what you get in the playoffs health-wise. And I do think that the Lakers were good. But you said the thing that I think is really interesting about the finals, which is I don't know if they're close or not. I don't know if they're that much better. And like, the Nuggets are the best team in the West and are 2-8, virtually indistinguishable from one another, and everything in between. It's just whoever's a little healthier, a little hotter in the moment is going to win that individual series, but you're still a long way from Denver. And how does that inform the decisions that the Lakers are going to make this offseason? Like, are you just, hey, listen, we won't have to worry about going on the road for Game 7. We're going to be one of the 4 best teams. We're going to be one of the 2 or 3 best teams, and let's just be a little more cautious in how we build this. Or, hey, we might be as good as the 8 and as the 2 and everyone else, but we still got a long way to go to get those guys. We do need to be bold this offseason. And what that means, whether that means Kyrie or some other big blockbuster move, I don't know. The result of these next 7 games might inform that decision.
You're always gathering information if you're a front office, and you're always comparing yourself against the best around the league if you want to be the best.
So one of the teams that they beat, the Warriors, do not have their general manager. They've got a lot of options. They got Draymond's got his option. Clay wants a new deal. Steph is still awesome, but he's in his mid-30s. End of the Warriors as we know it. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Hey, you looking for that new Silverado crew cab? Get yourself out to Rotolo Chevrolet. In fact, I talked to the guys from Rotolo this morning, talked to my guy Eddie, and he's just one of the guys out there that's going to make sure that you have the customer service experience of your life. That's what Mike Capozio, Mike's the guy you see on TV. He's the guy dancing with Oral Hershiser. You know Mike Capozio, and he sets the tone at Rotolo Chevrolet, which is give them the best customer service experience of their lives. That's why they've won Dealer of the Year 13 years in a row. They've gone back-to-back 13 times in a row. Number 1 in sales volume year after year after year, and that's by taking care of people. Get yourself out to Rotolo Chevrolet. Right off the 210 freeway, Sierra Avenue exit. Tell them that Travis sent you, and go find out for yourself how courteous, how transparent, how upfront, just how good you feel about the entire process looking for that new Chevy car or truck. Go on out, and if you can't get out there, go online. RotoloChevy.com. ROTOLO. RotoloChevy.com. Everything I just said, it's all true online, too. And tell them that Travis sent you.
The fun way to
ESPN.
It's Travis Rogers, Alan Sliwa.
Day has the same person dropped off food at your house twice in one day? I don't
Great
know.
question.
Travis and Sliwa.
On 710 ESPN.
All right, we're gonna keep on doing this because I think it's hilarious. And I'm gonna try to aim to give Brian some of the more difficult ones. So it's in honor of the Scripps National Spelling Bee. I'm gonna have a little spelling bee with us, a couple segments. So last time we had Brian who did immediately. It was great. It was immediately right. So we're gonna go again. So Travis, we're gonna start with you. Your word is inevitable. Inevitable.
In a sentence, can I get the word of origin? Inevitable
The
is
Nuggets are inevitable.
okay. INEVITABLE.
You are correct. It is inevitable. You move to the next round. All right. Andy,
It's two more than I thought I'd get.
you have procrastinate. Procrastinate.
PROCRASTINATE.
That is correct.
Nice.
Procrastinate. All right. Now we're up to Brian. Your word is malignant. Your word is malignant.
Malignant?
Yes.
Ooh, I already tell you I got this wrong. M
IMM.
MILGEMT. Malignant.
It is.
Brian, I'm asking this as respectfully and empathetically as
radio.
possible. Are you dyslexic?
I'm
Not
I just
making fun
never
of
could
that,
spell.
not making fun of
I
that.
can't spell. Never
Brian,
have.
you
It's
and
like you're
I-
coming nowhere close, man.
You and I are team red line, little squiggle red line on your phone, right? I know it's
Yeah.
not right. Tap the button.
Oh, exactly.
Let Apple fix it for me and keep it
100%.
moving.
Like I've been told this is a minor form of dyslexia. When I handwrite, I often leave out vowels,
Yeah.
and I will sometimes write certain letters backwards. But this is how I know that it's minor. Like listening to Brian spell right now.
The
It's all
actual
about context, Andy.
Yes.
Yeah, how bad is it? Well,
Yeah.
it could be
Could
much
always
worse.
be worse.
Exactly.
the actual spelling is MALIGNANT.
No
Malignant.
chance.
No.
Hang in
If
there.
I
Brian.
wrote it out, I feel like I'd be better.
Write it out.
Yeah.
Write it out.
They-
Next
the
time.
kids
I
do
got
that
you
on the
next
back
time.
of their
You are
cars.
allowed pen and paper.
Not
Well,
an actual spelling
the
bee, though.
kids in the spelling, they draw it in the air.
Yeah, they draw it on the back of their cards
Yeah.
so they can visualize the spelling.
Oh, so that's what I need to do. Next time. I
They
got
Next
you.
time.
tap
next
their
time.
foot and they stare off into the distance. They've got all sorts of tricks that they use. These kids are pretty smart.
They are.
They should probably put down the dictionary and just go outside once in a while, but they're pretty good spellers.
Yeah, we'll be working for them one day.
Of course, look, by the time they're in charge, it's all over anyway, Andy.
know.
It doesn't matter.
Well, they'll be working for AI.
They're gonna
Jokes on them.
They're going to be working in the robot minds. whatever form the robot mind takes, they're going to be in it. Now they'll be supervisors down there, but they will be down there.
Clocking hours at the old Skynet.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with it because I just feel like I want to be an agreeable subject. I don't want to have to fight against it. I would not make a good John Connor.
Well, they're already keeping track of who's willing to play ball and who isn't, who looks like they could be a troublemaking subversive, and who's just who's just willing to lay back.
You strike me as a subversive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you'd be whispering to other guys down in the robot mind, like, "Can you believe they're making us do that?" You know, I think you know what I think. I think you should say
Oh
something.
crap, he's a robot.
Yeah, you got to get the dog to sniff them out, right? Just like all of my futuristic are Terminator related. I have no vision of what it might look like on my own. It's strictly what James Cameron came up with.
I've been debating. My daughter's 12. I've been debating whether or not she can watch first Terminator, second Terminator. First Terminator is the one that's more violent,
Much more violent.
more sex in it.
There's a sex scene.
Like the second Terminator, I think is actually that's okay for 12.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I'm not even sure.
Choppa.
The chop.
That's Command. No, that's
Command.
The Predator.
Predator.
Predator. See, I don't
Predator.
know any of these. I just am mixing all of them together.
The only movies she doesn't know are like the 5 I know really well. So we make a good team.
But
we cover
For trivia.
all the bases.
I think she could watch Terminator 2 without having seen Terminator.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
T2 is so good.
It's the liquid Terminator.
Yes.
It's when he pours through the helicopter cockpit and reforms as the pilot.
So there is
it's
a
amazing.
chopper. It's just
There is a
different
chopper, but the get back to the chopper.
It's not the chopper.
Okay.
It's just a chopper.
Get back to the chopper.
The chopper.
Yeah, I'm ready. I got a little bit of Matrix in my futuristic mix. That doesn't seem good. I don't want to be in one of those pods.
No, you
That
are
seems terrible.
you are so blue pill. You might.
Oh yeah.
You're like, can I have more than one blue pill?
Just keep the red ones as far away from me as you possibly can. I just want to sit here. I want to just walk around and live my life in relative peace, asleep in my pod.
But you know that it's just a mirage. It's just an image.
I don't care. It's a pleasant mirage. Just ease me gently into the whatever's coming after this. Probably nothing, but just kind of very slowly kind of run me off of the road in that way. Back to the Lakers really quick. You're talking about how the result of the finals may inform the decisions that they make. And those decisions are not, mysteries. It's, Austin Reeves and Hachimura and whether or not you try to acquire Kyrie and what does it cost. And they got a draft pick this year. So they've got some things to do. But does any of this even start to happen until you have a definitive answer on LeBron James's plans? Can you start to do these other things because there's not a person out there, I don't think, that doesn't think he's going to play, but what does he want? What did that statement actually mean? Because none of us think that it means I'm not going to play basketball.
Yeah, I mean, you want clarity with LeBron, obviously, because I don't even mean necessarily his dissatisfaction with the roster, because I think there's only so much you can really change, or so much that I think you should change. Like, if LeBron really wants Kyrie on, no questions asked, I want this guy on this team.
Right.
And the only way you're going to get Kyrie would be to pay him the most amount of money the Lakers can pay, which is not the amount Dallas can pay.
Right.
But the most you can pay and the most amount of years.
It's 4 years, right?
Right. Otherwise, Kyrie has no incentive to do this. Like, people talk about him like he's, he lives on this other plane, doesn't care about the money. Kyrie cares about the money. Okay? I can promise you he cares about the money. And there's not going to be any incentive for him to leave more years and more money on the table just to come here. If LeBron wants 4 years of Kyrie, which will go on further than his own contract,
last past LeBron.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, at some point,
that's kind of what I'm getting at, Andy. Right? This idea of there are two tracks. Right? There's the LeBron timeline, which is now, today, immediately.
Yeah.
We have to do it now. What I need now is what I need now. And sometimes what he needs now is what's good for the team. He needed Austin Reeves in the starting lineup. You need to keep it great. That's good for LeBron. That's good for the Lakers. The Kyrie one is the most obvious example of something that is good news for LeBron, but could potentially be terrible news for the Lakers beyond whenever it is that LeBron James decides that he's done playing basketball. And that's that middle ground is what I'm talking about. That, do you make a decision that you know is not in your best interest past his time, but because he still has time, you got to do it anyway?
No. I mean, LeBron is past the point in his career where you move heaven and earth to keep him happy. Like, you might move heaven.
Just heaven? Yeah.
Right. You might move heaven. You might move earth. But you're not going to move heaven and earth. Like, because there's only so much longer you're going to be doing this with LeBron anyway. Like, he is theoretically under contract 2 more years.
Uh-huh.
If you go past, like, are you really that worried that you're going to miss out on LeBron at age 42?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, are you...
But what if you're worried about missing out on him now? What if you're worried about him being dissatisfied with whatever decision it is you make, that he's not fully committed, invested, whatever that might be? And look, he's still the most important person on your team. He might not be the best player on your team anymore. It's probably Anthony Davis at this point, I don't want to say by default, but by default. And you still need him. And if he can still influence decisions and teammates and culture and all of these things, you have to be aware of it.
You have to be aware of it, but at the same time, I think you have to keep all of this in context. Like, if LeBron was 28 or 32 instead of next year 39, then yeah, you make some moves that may not be that smart down the road because The now is so incredible that you just have to deal with what comes later when that door opens. LeBron is not at a stage right now where the present is so incredible. Like, it's good.
That's
but
the
it's
tricky
not,
part.
It's
not incredible like it was in Miami or even Cleveland in either part, but it's still as good as it's been in the last 2 or 3 years. And it's a weird spot.
Except the last 2 or 3 years haven't been that great.
No, they haven't, but it's better than that.
But you know what I'm saying, though? Like,
I do. I'm just saying it's a tough call.
I think it's more of a tough call to have the stomach to make the call. I don't think the call is actually that tough.
I agree with that. It's saying no to somebody who hasn't heard no in a long time.
But you know what, though? They've told him no, though. They have actually told him no, because 2 seasons ago, the first with Russ, there was a lot of reporting that LeBron and probably Anthony Davis by extension wanted them to move Russ. One of the deals was John Wall and Christian Wood to which would have been a terrible decision. Lakers said no. There was a lot of pressure heading into this year to move Russell Westbrook before the season began. Lakers said no. They didn't have the deal that they wanted. Like, they've told LeBron no before. They've given him a lot of what he's wanted.
I think there's a difference between those and what I'm talking about. We'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. But Brian does not have to spell anything, but he does have to do, hey, did you see? That's coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN. Hey, if you get hurt in an accident, you need to call the accident attorneys at Sweet James. It's as easy as that. It's as easy as it is to remember the phone number, 1-800-9-MILLION. That's 1-800-900-0000. And, of course, you can go online at sweetjames.com. And when you make that call, the same call that I've made, the same call that my friends and family have made, here's what you get. You get nearly 20 years of experience. And prior to that, you get somebody that worked for the insurance company. So they know the ins and outs, not only of their own business, but of the insurance company's business. So do not take on that insurance company by yourself. Find somebody that has that winning record, a winning record to the tune of over $1 billion collected in settlements in that nearly 20-year career. Get that car fixed right. Get the medical attention you require and the peace of mind of coming to the best that there is. That's what Sweet James is. Awarded best attorneys in America in personal injury. It's all that they do. You know the number by now, 1-800-9-MILLION. That's 1-800-900-0000 and sweetjames.com.
You never have Travis and Sliwa, and it's time for the segment we do around this time, 10:40 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Hey, did you see that sky today?
Did you guys see that?
Basically, the days we don't do Ask Slee, we do this thing. It's called Hey, Did You See?
Did you see that? I saw it. I did it.
Did you see the memo about this?
I mean, I'm excited. You can tell by my read. Hey, did you see?
Did you happen to see?
It's time for Hey, Did You See?
Hey, man, did you touch my drum set?
Have you read this?
Right now on Travis and Sliwa.
You know, we give Slee kind of a hard time for being a secret agent and kind of keeping his whereabouts close to the vest. And, Brian, not that I'm not always very happy to see you, but when Taylor leaves, we don't even bother to act like he is the most mysterious of all of the people here at 710. I don't think anybody knows what Taylor's up to when he disappears. Yeah, no. When he's playing his music, we know. But when, what's he doing on vacation? I don't think anybody asked. I don't think that anybody's really peeled that onion at all. What do you got for us, Brian?
Little hey, did you see? All right, I got a couple things for you today.
All right.
First one, how about a little baseball? I got two baseball ones for you.
Got it.
First one, I don't know if you guys have heard of Lathan, the kid umpire. Going around on social media, he's been blowing up the last couple of weeks, months. 8-year-old kid umpires Little League games and has recently done a high school game.
No.
At age 8?
Age 8, behind the plate, full gear.
Can he see over the catcher?
It's pretty legit. I'll tell you, like I've seen him a little bit, here and there.
What's his name?
Lathan, the kid umpire. So like Nathan, but with an L. And he's all on.
We won't ask you to spell it,
media.
Brian.
That's actually one I could spell for you, though. So my question here to you guys, if you were, the 13, 14-year-old kid, or even the coach, and there's an 8-year-old kid umpiring behind the plate, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like I can't say anything. Right? Look, kind of chirping at the umpire is part of baseball, right? There's very clearly a line that you should not go past with anybody, but saying, oh, come on, man, what are you doing back there? That's part of baseball, right? That you chirp the umpire. You can't chirp an 8-year-old. So if I see a kid back there that you've been neutered before the game has even started because you're an absolute monster if you chirp at an 8-year-old.
Okay, I have very mixed feelings about this. If I'm, say, the parent of a kid in this game being umpired by Lathan, the kid umpire.
He's got an Instagram page.
Yeah, he's he's like the Doogie Howser of umpires, apparently. On one hand, I'm not one of these like Little League parents or, my daughter plays volleyball. I'm not one of these people that gets on the referees, gets on the umps, I don't want this to turn into something bigger than it actually is. Like, I like things being kept in perspective, including Little League. So it's nice that you have an umpire that, like Travis said, you can't scream at an 8-year-old without being a monster. On the other hand, though, I like competence.
Yeah, it's not.
And there comes a point where I get that he's 8 years old, so he's making mistakes that an 8-year-old would make, but he's still the guy in charge. Like, at some point, I'm going to be upset that Lathan is an incompetent 8-year-old.
Do you challenge him? Do you go out and say, young man, listen, I know you're doing your very best.
Here's a juice box.
There's only 3 outs in an inning, not 2. Yeah. We still have 1 more to go. Like, do you just like, hey, he's 8. You're going to keep it moving like, what are you going to do? Got Lathan the ump is back there.
As long, I guess, as Lathan can call a decent game, because frankly, there's some terrible adult umpires. Like
Angel Hernandez.
Yes.
Right. CB Buckner, Laz Diaz. Should I keep going?
I would love to see an umpiring contest between Lathan and Angel Hernandez.
Yeah, well, Angel hasn't been working lately. It's a bit of a mystery.
Well, he's got time.
He just poof, he's just gone. It's one of the great mysteries. Is he a good umpire, Brian?
I believe so. I've heard some endorsements from him, from coaches saying that, bring him back.
All right.
Happily.
Okay, I just saw his picture. He looks serious. I got to tell you.
He's got the gear. He's in position.
The only thing I would say is if I was 12, 13-year-olds and I was pitching and he was squeezing me behind the plate,
okay,
we got
this is
going to beat you up at recess at school the next day.
This puts in perspective that this is an 8-year-old. I just found him on Twitter at Lathan the Kid Ump. Not only does he play, he loves to call the shots too. Loves the game. Parentheses, this page is managed by his parents.
Gotta throw that in there.
Love it. What's next?
All right, so another baseball one. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Zach Campbell.
That's the guy that gets all the foul,
Yes,
the home runs
the
and
home
foul
run
balls.
balls.
Yeah. Do you
now
know him, Andy?
No.
Okay, so he's a baseball collector. He says he's been doing this since 1993. He says he has over 12,000 balls now. And most recently, the last couple videos that he's been seeing, he's been getting booed like crazy at the parks.
He
Catch
caught
a home run
a home run at the White Sox Angels
that's
game
what
the
I
other
just
day,
saw.
and people just started hammering him with booze.
hammering him, raining down. And on social media now, he's getting a lot of flack. Let the kids have the balls, all that.
Does he reach over kids, do things like that?
He's kind of not. He's not too extreme, but he
Okay.
is a little extreme. I'll say that.
He's right. He tries to catch the ball. He's not a monster where he's tripping Nathan the kid umpire along the way. Lathan, excuse me. But he's taken he's like developed these formulas. He knows where to be at all these times. So he's always in the area of where the ball's most likely to go. So he gets an inordinate amount of souvenirs, and he just I think he just hoards them all.
Yeah,
right?
I was
he does not give
going
them
to
back.
say this is a sickness. Like this guy's a hoarder, straight up. Anybody with 12,000 baseballs, like Big Five, does not have 12,000 baseballs in their entire warehouse. This guy has 12,000.
The better part of that is he has his own website, and he lists every single ball, date, time, stadium.
So it's like foul ball, McGill, Rojas, Dodgers, Nats,
Right.
May 31st.
Yes, exactly. He'll differentiate the home run or a foul ball.
So he's a hoarder. He's OCD, but he also. He's probably kind of high-level genius that he can figure out the science of where
knows
these
where to
balls.
be.
Yeah.
All right, so my question there is, when's the last time, what age are you guys not taking a glove to the field?
Oh, jeez. I mean, I think once you're legally able to drink.
Okay. That's about right.
I did take a glove to the field. I'm trying to think of the last time I did. It's probably 11, 12, something like that.
I think the only reason you can get away with it as an adult is if you are taking your child.
Yeah.
And you're essentially helping your child catch a ball. I think that's okay.
It's weird seeing an adult with a glove at the ballpark that's not on the field. It's just deeply strange. You could make the case I'm trying to help Junior catch the ball. You could make the case I'm trying to protect Junior in the case that something gets ripped into the seats and he's not paying attention. I can knock it down. But when you've got a guy that is a 40-year-old man walking in there with a glove on his hand, you're like, yeah, he's Zach Hempel adjacent.
Real quick, does this gent, the hoarder, does he go around to different parks, or is he doing this all at one park?
All
He's
30.
everywhere.
Yeah, he is everywhere. He's traveling. Like, he was in Chicago this last week. He'll be in a different stadium tomorrow.
Nobody roots for that guy.
Like a deadhead.
He's got
Yeah,
baseballs,
exactly, falling
not
around.
friends.
Have you guys ever caught in a foul ball or a home run ball?
No.
I've gotten one. And not to channel my inner Zach, I can tell you exactly the pitcher, the hitter, where I was, and everything else.
So could I.
Denny Nagel was the pitcher for the Colorado Rockies. Eric Karros was the batter for the Dodgers.
Oh.
I was sitting kind of where the on-deck circle is on the first base side, about 20 rows up. And it took one hop off the seats or the stairs in the aisle. It landed right in the middle of the aisle. One hop right to me, caught it. That's the only time I've gotten one in my entire life.
Yeah, I only have one, too. Off the first pitch of the game, Dodgers-Padres, D. Gordon, foul ball.
D. Gordon.
D. Gordon.
That's a throwback,
There you go.
yeah.
Flash.
Surprised he made
Right.
contact.
Exactly. I think that's all I got for you today all the time.
Made it a collector's item.
This is the time.
I still have it.
Yeah, I don't think I have them. I don't know. It may be in the garage somewhere. Speaking of the Dodgers, they got the best record in the National League. They've also got a couple of very big problems that need to get squared away. That's next. Travis Slee. Andy's in for Slee on 710 ESPN.
KCAM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
710 ESPN.
A Good Karma Brands radio station.
It is the show that begins 9 hours of LA sports talk all day long. Each weekday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
Good job, Brian, on the Hey Did You See?
Really good.
Hope Taylor's having a good time. He's probably on a secret mission as well.
You were out of the room
Yeah.
when we were talking about it. Do you know where he went? I forgot to ask him.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But again, that's Taylor. If we don't ask, he doesn't tell us.
No, he literally, he could win the lot. I don't want to see, just something, what's something benign that's kind of you'd share with everybody?
That he is going to a wedding. Or,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm
there's
going to a
things.
wedding this weekend, guys. Nothing. Just
I actually do
nothing.
think that's what he's doing.
Going
Because
to a
I think you
wedding?
mentioned the Denver thing and that he's in Colorado for a wedding.
Okay.
Maybe that's what
Is he working or is he attending?
Attending.
that's
That is friends. It was kind of a last minute thing.
WEDDING. Next.
All right. So, yes, it's in honor of the Scripps National Spelling Bee today. I also used to be a spelling bee person. I was not a champion by any means because I was bad
How
at
far'd
it.
you get?
I would usually get to the top 5 or whatever in my school and then fail out. But I did have one of my friends that went to the National Spelling Bee.
Ooh.
But in honor of the spelling bee, I'm going to go around and do some spelling bee words for you guys. All right. So Travis, you're up first yet again.
Great.
They're going to get a little harder. Okay.
Those other ones were hard enough.
This word is vacillate. Vacillate.
So the big question is, it is an S or a C in the middle. VACILLATE.
Ding, ding, ding. Correct.
Yeah.
All right, Trav.
Wow.
All right, Andy, your word is ubiquitous.
Okay.
Ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous. Let me write this out.
I will allow pen and paper.
You.
Shut up.
Okay, I think it's UBIQUITOUS.
Ding, ding, ding.
Nice.
Correct. All right, we got Brian next. You ready?
As ready I'll be.
Okay, this next one is...
Lathan.
Next one is surveillance. Surveillance.
I should know this one. Surveillance.
Should know immediately.
SER. I already got that wrong?
Yes, you did.
Oh, come on.
Keep going, Brian. Keep going, Brian. We want to see the rest.
SU.
There you go.
RVAI.
Just keep going.
ALLCE. I don't even know where it went, but
Okay, it is surveillance. It's SURVEILLANCE.
Yeah, the way you started out, it
never
was
got that.
surveillance, SERV, like serving somebody. You're not serving them surveillance.
You're surveying.
All right, I got one last one. It's for Tyler, so Tyler's here today.
Hey.
Your word is caricature. Caricature.
Oh, no. I think I'm already chalked on this one.
oh, that's an easy one. Come on.
Caricature. Ooh, Brian, I might have to use a lifeline then. We'll see.
Use the pen in your hand if you have to.
CHARAICATURE.
Extremely close, but it's no H.
Right.
So CARICATURE.
Shoot.
So, good job, guys. Andy and Trevor still getting them all right. So
We've
keep
gotten
going.
the better draw on these words. Surveillance, I might have gotten wrong.
Vacillate I would have been shocked on that one too.
Vacillate, you do have to think about, is it VASC
Right.
or just VAC?
Right. Root words, Andy. Always ask for the root word, even though I didn't do that. Aaron Palmer on Twitter says, I was 13 refereeing varsity football games as a side judge. Parents and coaches do not hold back. I grew up fast. Okay, so we're talking about Lathan, the kid ump, who Brian brought up during Hey Did You See? He's an 8-year-old who's umpiring high school baseball games. Okay. If you are umpiring Little League games at 8, I think people will be relatively chill. But in Aaron Palmer's case and in Lathan kid umpire high school game, if you're out there umpiring or officiating a high school basketball or football game, there is a basic level of competence that is expected. You need to know the rules. You need to know where to position yourself. And if 8-year-old or 13-year-old Aaron is running around and you're in the wrong spot, I can see a coach getting on you.
Yeah, I mean, now that I think about this, you mentioned how it would take a monster to yell at an 8-year-old umpire. But at the same time, it would take a monster to yell at an 8-year-old player, and that unfortunately happens all the time. So why would they
At least they're yelling at their own kid in that situation, typically.
I've seen some yelling at kids that aren't theirs. I've seen it.
I've been lucky with that.
I've seen
it.
That. It's ugly.
Another one. This is to you and I, Andy. It says, Rich writes, will we be getting any more Commander and Chimp sequel ideas on today's show? We haven't.
Can you spell Commander?
Yeah, we did spell the word chimp earlier, but we haven't. You and I haven't really talked about it much either. Even offline, we have not had a chance to really kind of hammer out the script and the story arc.
It would be nice. I mean, it would require a really quick shoot to get this movie released right around the time the 2024 election is going on, like the primaries leading up to the actual election, keep it seasonal. That would be really fun. As far as the spin-offs go, I think we probably need to get the first one made before we start thinking like the CCU.
Do we have a debt ceiling scene in this movie where Bobo is sitting there with the speaker and they're trying to figure out how to extend before economic collapse consumes the globe? Are we stealing from real world? Is it ripped from the headlines?
Well, you know what? It is in a lot of ways stolen from the real world because as we're seeing right now with the debt ceiling, you have the Republicans and the Democrats very clearly not wanting to work with each other and certainly wanting to project that whatever work they're doing with each other is under protest. They don't like it, whatever, because they feel like it's to their political advantage to signal as much as possible, I hate this deal, I won't work with the other side. We've already established the vice president is going to be looking to undermine President Bobo at every opportunity.
And we've cast that one. That's the one role we have cast. Didn't Jay Moore say that he wanted?
I haven't heard from him.
Okay.
I have not heard from Jay
We'll
Moore.
reach out.
Like Jay Moore was apparently hounding John Ireland that he wanted to produce this thing that he was in. I have not heard word one.
Jay's been in a lot of movies. Jay's had a lot of success in that industry.
I just saw.
He's in Air.
Yes, I just saw. I was going to say I just saw Jay in Air, and while he did a fine job, I got to be honest, this is a better role.
Well, it's meatier.
Oh, it's way meatier.
Yeah,
like Air would have been more or less the same, whether Jay Moore's in it or not.
Yes.
Commander and Chimp, Jay Moore can leave a stamp on the movie.
Well, Jay's only in a scene or two of Air. And in Commander and Chimp, he would be probably, other than Bobo, he gets the most lines.
Well, he gets the most line. Bobo's dialogue is...
Well, Bobo, not that line, but Bobo is screeching and throwing things.
Bobo is much more of like a silent film star. Like, he's like a Chaplin, a Buster Keaton. He makes his mark through physical comedy, facial expressions, things like that. He's a physical presence. The best lines go to Jay Moore.
I picture Bobo as a silent movie star with like the really over the top makeup now, where they got the silent, just the really heavy like pancake makeup.
Yeah, he's like a Rudolph Valentino,
dark eyeliner, like the whole thing.
He's a John Barrymore, like one of those types.
All right, say less. This is too good of an idea.
He dated Mary Pickford.
Somebody's gonna walk away for this. Let's go to Tom in the Inland Empire. Tom, you're on with Trav and Andy. What's up, Tom?
How's it going, guys? Love the show, but kind of wanted to talk about this kid referee situation.
Yeah.
I used to referee soccer. I actually started that when I was 10 years old. I did it until I was about 25. I'm 30 now. I used to do it with my dad. But parents, man, they do not hold back. It does not matter what age you are. For me, I could take it. And for the most part, I would talk back. I called parents asses one time. I got in trouble for that, and wasn't allowed to ref for a little bit. But for the most part, I was a good referee. I played college soccer, so I knew what I was doing. So if this kid knows what he's doing, by all means, he's going to do great. But the worst part for me, and you guys, Andy, had just mentioned this about parents yelling at kids. But the worst part for me is when the parents or the coaches would yell at the old referees, right? The old referees, they're just out there. They just want something to do. And then when parents just start yelling and bickering at them, it's just like, man, like it just breaks my heart. So thanks for the call, guys.
Tom, before you hang up, I got a quick question for you. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you just officiate soccer? Or did you do other sports as well?
I just did soccer. I played baseball, I played basketball, I played football, but soccer was my main sport, so that's all I really got.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking, thanks for the call, Tom. That was great. Soccer parents are the crazy. Like, my kids have run track, played soccer, basketball, football, baseball. They've participated in all of these things, volleyball, and without question, the most vocal lunatic parents are on a soccer pitch. It's second to none. So I'm just trying to get some confirmation of my experience, but they go at that soccer referee like they go at no one else.
It would be such ultimate double middle fingers to be a 13-year-old handing out a yellow card.
Amazing.
That would feel so incredible.
It's so hard though, right? Like, because look, I get it. There are some 13-year-olds that are filled with confidence and everything else, but to tee up or card a parent at 13, that takes a certain amount of to just say yes, to say, okay, yeah, you want to try me? Bang, now what? That's not something that I think Lathan, the kid umpire, probably has in his back
takes a
pocket.
certain amount of irrational confidence. Absolutely.
Got to get who would make a good kid umpire. I got to think about this a little bit. Emily, did you say that you heard somebody on the radio during the Dodger broadcast yesterday? Freddie was taking ground balls at short.
Yes. So I was listening to the radio broadcast of the Dodger game, and they were, talking about just calling the game, and they're like, "Well, we have seen a couple times last few games Freddie in warm up taking." Ground balls at short, and they were like, but that's also the same thing that Mookie did. Well, they're like, oh, that's just general warm up practice, just taking ground balls. But he's like, but that's also what we said about Mookie before Mookie was put at short. So again, it could be nothing, or it could be everything.
Better be nothing.
Let's do it.
No,
let's do it.
No,
look, we've already had Mookie at second.
Uh-huh.
Let's get weird.
I know Mookie has played second and played it well. Mookie has played a little short and played it very well. That's fine. Mookie Betts was a middle infielder for his entire life, basically, until he got to the big leagues, and there wasn't room
Freddie
for him.
Freeman's a great athlete. He can do this.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying that Freddie does not strike me as someone who moves like a shortstop, doesn't look like a shortstop. I don't think that you take your best offensive player and say, what would be really funny? Let's play him at short.
Why not? If they do it, it's probably a good decision. Idea. Trav, you always say the Dodgers make the best decisions out there. They're all really smart. Like, if the Dodgers believe that they can do it,
who are you to question Andrew Friedman?
On.
Look, if Andrew Friedman wants to call me and say, here's why this is a good idea, I will take the call.
I'm sure he's run some analytics or whatever. He's figured, they're not doing this for no reason like I would do it.
If we're going to get weird with it, let's see if he can pitch the seventh inning. This is where the Dodgers seem to have the greatest need.
Look, they just keep winning, the Dodgers. This was a season where everybody expected, for a lot of reasons that frankly made sense, that they'd probably have to take a little bit of a step back. They wouldn't be terrible, but they were not going to – this might be the first time ever that they don't dominate the NL West. Yeah. As it turns out, it may be impossible for them not to win this division. They just do. So let's just lean into all the weirdness – wackiness of this season. Play Freddie Freeman at short one
Will
game.
Smith in the outfield.
I'm gonna
play him against you
guys. Look, this is bothering me. We've gone from having fun with this to this is offending my sensibilities as a baseball fan.
When do the Dodgers play either the Cubs or the A's?
Let's see.
The Royals.
Play
them against one of those crappy
They play the
teams.
Reds next week.
Okay, perfect time. Let's do it. Let's do this.
They got the Reds next week, the White Sox the week after that.
Yeah.
Got the Rockies and the Royals next month.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And you can put anybody at first.
Coming at Cal Ripken.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who takes over Freddie at first. Anybody can play first. That's where they put all the old people that you can't put anywhere in the field.
Exactly.
Yeah, you put them at first.
Like me on All-Star Friday night.
Exactly.
First base. Have them go stand over there and catch the ball.
Let's
Rick
do
Lopes
this.
writes, Trav, are you yelling, that's a balk at the kid referee? So I did do that. Now, he wasn't a kid, and it was...
He was an old man.
It was... I yelled it at the pitcher, and it was my son's team that I just... Again, this kind of goes back to what we're talking about. As a baseball person, and I fancy myself a baseball person, as someone who watches and understands what it is I'm looking at more often than not. There was a flagrant balk that took place, and I yelled out, "That's a balk!" And it was the team that I wanted to win. And it didn't get called, thankfully, but sometimes it just jumps out at you. So, yes, I would yell at the kid referee about a balk.
You narked out your son's team.
I didn't narc him out,
Yes,
Andy.
you did. That's the definition of narking.
I saw something, and my mouth acted quicker than my brain.
Hall monitor.
It was a balk. Just in my defense, you can't
It was a
flinch.
balk in my defense.
You can't flinch on the mound. And this is my problem with umpires, generally speaking. Now we're down the rabbit hole. I really loathe umpires. Okay? I really deeply do. And
how do you spell umpire?
The reason I do is because a very significant percentage of them, bad or good is not really a big deal to me. You got to know the damn rules. That's like the jumping off point, and half of them do not. And it drives me around the bend that they're out there walking around like they're Angel Hernandez and Joe West, and they don't know the rules.
That's a damn balk, Lathan.
Right. Lathan should be in that rule book at night, just like the kids studying the spelling bee, understanding what constitute a balk, so I don't have to scream at him.
I'm going to be in your nightmares, Lathan.
If he doesn't know the rules, he should have me sitting there.
You better sleep with your parents tonight.
The boogeyman Travis is screaming balk at you from the sidelines. Noah Syndergaard, tick tock, tick tock. That's next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN.
Chris Holmes was weighing in on Twitter. He said, it's just like Travis to underpromise and overdeliver on a riveting spelling bee. So this is just shades of the softball game over again, where you're like, oh, I'm not going to be that good. I'm not going to be that good. And then you hit a home run.
That's not what I said. I knew I would be fine at catching and throwing. I can't hit. You guys still think I was playing a con. It was the luckiest athletic swing of a bat I've ever had in my life.
Okay.
I can't hit.
Okay. All right, so we're going to do more in honor of the National Spelling Bee today. And I also didn't really anticipate this going the entire show, but it has just been free laughs for me from Brian in here, just, trying his darndest to get all these right.
Don't sleep on Tyler back there either.
I'm coming for it, Brian.
All right, so first word for Travis is phenomenon. Phenomenon.
This is one that gets me all the time.
PHENOMENON.
Ding, ding, ding. Correct. All right, Trav.
That one messes me up all the time.
All right, so this next one is for Andy.
Maybe I am a good speller.
It's consequence.
Consequence?
Yeah, you got that.
Let me write it out. CONSEQUENCE.
Correct. Consequence.
I would have gotten that one wrong.
I thought consequence had an S in
Me too.
It does have an S. Just not two of them.
Did I not hear you say it? Oh, because I didn't hear the S either.
He did it in letters of three. So it's CONSEQ.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless someone listening got it me wrong.
Look, I believe you got it right. If you heard it.
Yeah.
Zoom in, everybody watching on YouTube.
I missed the S.
All right.
I did too, Tyler. Run it back.
Okay.
Yeah. Roll the tape.
This is a layup for you, Brian. So
All right.
Is it layup?
Come on.
Layup for you.
Now if I miss it.
Abstain.
Wow.
Abstain.
Can I help him a little bit? Abstain.
Like with an A?
Yes.
See, I would
Nice try.
The definition
Do you
is...
know another way to make an ass sound?
The
I would have
definition
started
is
off with an O. So.
to
That's why I
restrain
felt I
oneself
needed
from
to
doing
intervene.
something. To restrain oneself from doing or enjoying something. So, abstain.
Okay. Because I know it's an A, I'll go A.
What makes a buzz sound, Brian?
S.
You got it.
TAIN.
Bingo!
Yes!
Go!
Way to go, Brian.
On the board.
I would have started with an O, so thank you.
All right, so this next one is not as hard as it sounds, Tyler.
Oh, the pressure's on.
Cantankerous.
Ooh.
Cantankerous.
Cantankerous. CANTANKEROUS. Cantankerous.
Yes.
Let's go.
Good job. We're on the board.
impressed.
Everybody got it
4
this
for
time. 4. All right. I got some more harder ones later on, so come back to it.
All right.
All right.
We'll see. We'll see. I'd like to, Andy. We should probably quit while we can. This is one of these. We'll share the title. we'll cut it in half, and you can have it Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I'll have it Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Exactly. Yeah, but I get
Sunday's
holidays.
a day of rest.
Yeah, but I get first pick on holidays. That just much like a timeshare.
I mean, is this like custody of this title?
Basically, yes.
We're getting divorced.
But it's shared custody. We have a very what's the word I want? What's the opposite
amicable?
Of amicable. Thank you. That's
Well, for the sake of the trophy,
AMICABLE.
We don't want the trophy to suffer, end up screwed up as an adult.
So there was, look, these guys make a lot of money. They're professional athletes, and they need to perform or else, right? In pro sport, it's just the nature of the beast. Do a good job, or we're going to find somebody else who will do it. And you could almost feel that sentence hanging over Noah Syndergaard's head after the game yesterday, that the Dodgers went and got him in the offseason. They're paying him, I think it's $14 million. It's a decent amount. It's not a crazy amount, but it's not nothing. And he has been between mediocre to much less than that, and he got roughed up yesterday against the Nats. 5 innings, 5 runs, 7 hits, 3 of them left the ballpark, 3 homers. And here's the one that is the number to me that's just, okay, we got to maybe move on from this. He had 1 swing and miss the entire time he was out there. That you got to make guys swing and miss in the big leagues. And he said afterwards, I don't know what's going on. I can't locate. I'm not the guy that I used to be. Dave Roberts basically said, yeah, well, we're going to try to figure something out. No one's saying we're going to stick with him. It feels the end is near. but they just don't have anybody else to go to right now. It's the first time in a long time I felt genuine empathy for a guy because you could feel how much he wants it. It's just not there.
Well, it's also, too, it's the way he owns it. He referred to himself after last night's game as the weak link in the staff right now, in the pitching staff, the starting staff. He knows he's pitching awful. Like, he is not pitching even at low-end fifth starter level. No. Like, he is not pitching at a level where you would have him in a rotation for any reason other than we have no other options. That's it.
So the other options are you go even deeper in your minor league system and you're bringing in guys that not only probably aren't ready but might never be, right? Like you have Miller, you have Pepio, you have Stone, you've got Grove, you've got 4 young players that they're going to be major league pitchers. It's just a matter of when they're going to be major league pitchers. Well, Pepio's hurt. Miller's here. Stone has pitched really poorly in the opportunities that he's gotten, and Grove is going to pitch on Saturday against the Yankees. So they're already here. Now you're going into the low levels of the minor leagues, trying to figure out what it is you're going to do less. So you can do that. If that's plan A, then plan B is you continue to run him out there and just cross your fingers and hope you score a bunch of runs on the days that he pitches.
Well, the problem is they did in this game that he pitched, and they still lost.
They did. Now, they tied the game long after he'd been out, and we'll get to the bullpen issues they have a little bit later on. The other option is you start to make some deals. That I know that the Dodgers had a very specific strategy this offseason about not being particularly active in the free agent market, especially at the high end of the free agency market. They get their J.D. Martinez's, their Jason Hayward's, guys like that that are working out great. But they basically punted on anything that was expensive. Do you make a deal? Look, we're in first place. The National League is kind of wide open. There's only a handful of decent teams in the whole half of the draw. It's Atlanta. It's teams like Arizona that are surprisingly good. It's not a really deep field at the moment. Do you try to find a middle-of-the-road guy, one of these guys like a Drew Smiley type, a Liam Hendricks kind of guy, or excuse me, Kyle Hendricks, not Liam Hendricks, Kyle Hendricks, or do you make a move that not only will help you right now, but maybe somebody that you try and keep, a Shane Bieber, a guy like Corbin Burns from Milwaukee? Do you try to fish in that pond instead?
I mean, I think to some degree it depends on how long are these contracts and how much would the length of these contracts potentially affect things you're going to do down the road. Not necessarily Shohei Otani, because that's massive money that you have to commit if you're going to get him. And if the Dodgers are really, if they're really earmarking Otani the way everybody thinks they are, that's just priced in. But the addition of, say, a Shane Bieber could mean a subtraction of somebody else down the line. So I think you have to be thinking about it in terms of the big picture economically. I think it also matters, too, just how much do you actually think you need to get by once everybody that you trust is actually healthy.
Back.
Yeah.
Kershaw will probably miss time at some point this year, and it's usually about right now. So, factor that into your plans moving forward. Urias is probably going to be back towards the end of this month. Pepio will be back at some point. But you're really not I don't think you can count on at all. You don't know what that's going to look like. You're really pretty thin even when you start to get guys back.
Well, here's the other question, too, and you mentioned him. What do you think Urias is going to look like when he's back? Like, were these recent struggles a health-related issue? And the time off allows him to heal up and look more like the guy that we saw the last couple years? Or is there something else going on with him? Like last week, I was on with Mace, and I floated, and to be clear, this is a theory. This is nothing source, nothing that I'm not in any way close to the Dodgers organization on a journalistic level or whatever. Julio Urias is in a contract year, and he's in a contract year for an organization that there have been rumblings he's been upset that they haven't promoted him enough, really fully
They never treated him as the guy.
Right. But on top of that, they may be already eyeing his replacement in Otani. So you're Urias, a young guy looking for his first big deal like that, and you feel like not only am I not pitching well, I'm not pitching well for a team that has already decided they've moved past me.
Yeah.
That can be a lot.
It is a lot, and I want to just throw one more thing in there, that whether it's what you just hypothesized or whether it's health-related and he's just not, not that he's hurt, but he's not right. There's kind of that middle between this, like, yeah, I can pitch, I'm just not going to pitch. They may just pitch him. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those, because if you put it, what you're suggesting, like, look, we've already got our eye over there, and if it's not him, it's over there, that we're not going to, somebody's going to pay him a rate that we are absolutely not willing to go to. So, you know what? Pitch the tires off that guy until you just can't anymore.
Sure.
And it's cold-blooded, but it's also it's clarifying to a certain point, and that's where Julio and his team, and not the Dodgers, but his management team, needs to say, no, if you're not right, do not go. Your resume as it stands already is more than enough to get you what we need to get you. But if you go out there and pitch poorly and get hurt or anything, that we actually could come down a little bit. That you've got two very different agendas based on what the Dodgers might want and based on what he might want.
I just think it's interesting that he's really struggling this contract year, because we've already seen, like in the World Series, he can handle pressure.
For sure. He's their probably most proven commodity in that situation. I don't think it's even close. Pitch. Let's see what happens and go from there. Hey, did you see? Already happened. Factor Cap is coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN.
The fun way to drive home is with Sedona.
Everything I've said is a cap, but I'm going to go fact. First of all, it's not a cap. It's
No, it
just
is a cap.
Welcome to Factor Cap.
Hey guys, how do you spell cap? C-A-P. I think I'm just scarred from elementary school when I would get out and I would be really upset with myself because I would try so hard to do these spelling bees because my mom was a spelling bee champion, and that's why I'm trying to live up to her, the succession of spelling bee champions. All right, so today is National Pen Pal Day. So you had a pen pal as a kid. Travis, Patrick Cap.
No, I never did. I bet you I haven't written 10 letters to another person in my entire life. The only time I've had one summer where I was playing baseball in Iowa in the Jayhawk League, and you would take long bus rides from point A to point B to play these games, and this was pre-cell phone and all this stuff. So you were either playing cards, reading, or sleeping. Those were like the three things to do. And my lovely wife, Susan, was my lovely girlfriend at the time, and I would write her some letters here or there, but no, never just some random pen pal.
Yeah, I used to be a letter writer back in the day, like summer camps or even like first year of college, like things like that. but they were always to people that I knew.
Yeah.
Like I never basically began a relationship with a stranger purely through mail.
Prison?
That's how you end up with one you don't even know.
I know, right? That's always been a strange, like just to write letters to the inmates.
Oh, the people who fall in love?
Oh, yeah.
With their pen pal in prison?
Hey, maybe they're a good writer.
Love works in mysterious ways, Andy. Brian, what do you think?
Cap. Never had one. Just feel like I'm too young for it, maybe.
I mean,
I got the
Brian, no
phone.
offense. The spelling part probably eliminated it.
They wouldn't know what I'm saying.
What the hell is he trying to get at? I don't even know what he wants.
All right, Tyler?
No, that's a cap. I never had a pen pal, but I did go away to summer camp, and there was the whole, write home to mom and dad thing that we did. So I guess mom and dad would be considered pen pals while I was at summer camp.
I would consider it. I consider a pen pal as someone like the only way that you're interacting with them for a period of time is through letters.
Okay.
So I also worked at summer camp, and I got all my friends. This was in college. This was in 2016. I got all my friends' addresses and wrote for them all summer, and I got actually closer friends with a lot of people because you actually write deeper things, and you actually get the physical manifestation of stuff.
There's like a level of intimacy that you get when you're writing pen to paper.
I did have a crush on a guy in college. I got his address, and I was pen pals for him that summer too, and it did work out.
It did or did not?
Well, it did. We dated for a little bit once I got back. It was very cute.
I mean,
anyway.
without getting into what did you say?
It's just like more about like life at camp, what he's doing. It's more like without being that kind of intimate, but intimate in the terms of the personality of getting to know somebody. If you're actually sitting down and you're thinking about that person and writing something to them. All right. So Rocky, the Denver Nuggets mascot, makes $625,000 a year.
That's the exact face I made, Andy. That's the exact face I made.
And I don't know if you guys have seen that video. He's the one though that like passed out coming down from the sky of the arena.
Uh-huh.
So it's a dangerous job. You're doing flips and stuff, but this makes you want to be a mascot. Andy, Factor Cap.
Cap, but I will say Rocky earns it. Because A, Rocky's really good. Rocky is one of the best mascots across any sport. If you're into mascots, Rocky's great. B, doing it at altitude in that costume, you're earning your money. You're absolutely earning that money. So I'm shocked that Rocky makes good six figures, but I don't resent it.
High six figures,
yeah.
Or at least high mid six figures. Look, anything that pays you, what did you say, $625?
Yep.
Anything that pays you $625,000 is a job that you should have considered, right? Because it's one of those, I don't know, other than you probably have to have some acrobat skills to be able to do those things.
But you only work, like 8 months out of the year?
No, I bet you they got that guy all over the place in appearances.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's true. That's
true.
He's going all over Denver as Rocky.
He's probably working 340 days a year. He probably, for that amount of money, he should work 340 days a year.
Yeah, I want to clarify, too. I agree with Travis. If I knew I could be a mascot for $625,000, give me the costume.
But also probably this is the cream of the crop of the
That's
mascots.
what I was going to say. It doesn't make me want to be a mascot because I am suspicious that that's the average. Like Benny the Bull, I doubt is making $600,000.
What does the gorilla in Phoenix make? That guy's good.
He is really good.
The gorilla's good.
He's an icon.
If I'm the gorilla, I'm walking in to renegotiate after I see Rocky's numbers. I'm like, this is...
I was going to say, you have to do the renegotiation in the costume. You have to walk in Absolutely, you do it in character.
I don't know too if like the students at colleges who end up being the mascot get paid in money or get paid in scholarship. I don't know the answer about that.
So, young woman who babysat for us when we lived in Houston was also the mascot at UT. She put on the horn costume, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she also was considering trying out to be the Houston Rockets mascot. And when she found out what that was, no thank you. That the Rockets, at least at the time, were not paying Rocky the mountain lion money.
But did she get paid at UT to
No.
be the okay?
She
so
got
it's just volunteer
tickets
based.
and
and
access.
honor, whatever,
Yes.
that kind of stuff.
Yes.
All right, Brian, what do you think?
Oh, fact. Give me that money. I'll dress up. I'll do it all.
Can I just
Jump
throw
around.
out real quick that if there's anybody that's considering a career path that nobody told me about, that as an adult I'm like, yeah, that seems like a really good idea. And it's not easy, but I think it's also achievable if you really kind of... Orthodontist might be the best job in the world.
Well, you do have to be on people's teeth all the time.
You do, but it's all cash. You don't deal with insurance companies. It's just $5,000, $5,000, $5,000, $5,000. And you work on, as far as I can tell, you work on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Do you ever have to go to med school or anything?
You have to go to dental school and probably orthodontia. I'm not, like I said, not easy, but once you're set up, everybody in the community comes to you and hands you $5,000. It's a pretty good gig.
It is a good gig.
Actually, you know what it sounds like? Really good money laundering opportunity.
Well, who knows?
Tyler, what do you think?
There's no way I'm agile enough or in good enough shape to be a mascot. So it's a cap for me. However, the amount of money that mascot makes is super impressive. I'm more of like a Philly fanatic kind of mascot.
Oh, yeah.
Like all,
or
you know,
gritty.
Great one.
Yeah,
okay.
give me something to throw my belly around, stick my tongue out. Like I can do that kind of whatever Rocky does. No, thank you.
I cannot verify this just because it's a screenshot, but Deval Jameson tweeted us. He, presumably being Rocky, is followed by Benny the Bull of Chicago with a yearly salary of $400,000. Then go to the gorilla of the Phoenix Suns, who takes home $200,000. The gorilla needs to immediately.
The gorilla needs an agent.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so
I'm sorry, Emily. They're short of hurting somebody or doing somebody that would offend you on a deeply personally moral level. There's not too many things I wouldn't do for $600,000. That's an incredible amount of money.
Yeah.
That this idea, like Mascot, name a job that pays $600,000 that I wouldn't do. I don't know if there are many of them.
Now that I think about it, there really aren't.
Right?
all right, guys. So it's National Go Barefoot Day. So it's Bobby's favorite day.
You said go like Rudy Gobert.
That's
Day.
what I thought you said too. Go barefoot. I was like, that's specific.
Is that his brother?
It's the day of his foot.
Yes,
just the one
exactly.
foot.
So
You can pick left or right.
Not being celebrated heavily in Minnesota.
No.
Go Barefoot Day is the day.
Okay.
All right. So you have to. This is the situation that you have. You have to choose between being barefoot everywhere for a year, or you can't brush your teeth for a year. Brian, fact or cap? Oh, sorry. The statement is you would choose to go barefoot. Brian, fact or cap?
Fact. I feel like that'd be an easier route. I went to college up in Humboldt, so I saw a fair amount of people that always walked around barefoot, and they always seemed okay. But the other way, I don't know how you talk to people without brushing your teeth.
All right, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm going barefoot. There's nothing. So what am I saying? I'm saying that I would go barefoot. Fact. Yes.
Yes. That's
Okay,
a fact.
I would go barefoot. Yes. The whole mouth thing. I was one of the $5,000 candidates for braces, Travis.
Yeah, everybody
So,
is.
Yeah,
Yes.
and my mouth has been a mess. I've had procedures I don't even want to talk about. But yes, when it comes to brushing my teeth, got to stay on top of it. I'm going barefoot.
Trev?
So I think this is a very specific one for me, right? You guys know, Emily thinks I'm weird. I think I know your answer, Andy, based on our text chain yesterday. I like going to the dentist. Like, I look forward to it.
You brush your teeth at stoplights.
I like going to the dentist. It's something that I look forward to. So I also wear shoes. Unless I'm asleep, I got shoes on my feet. Okay? I wear them almost all the time.
Even in your
Weird feet.
house.
Yes. Apparently, I didn't even know this was weird until about 2 weeks ago. I took a picture
Weird feet.
in my house, and my buddy saw me in the house with do you have your shoes on? I'm like, yeah. Like they thought I was a
Are
lunatic.
you a slippers guy? Have you tried slippers?
Yeah, occasionally. I like a hard sole.
Get yourself some slippies.
I have old friends. My wife tried it, didn't really take. So this is a tough one for me, but I would absolutely go barefoot before I couldn't brush. Brushing my teeth for a couple of days sounds awful.
But
much less a
imagine
year.
walking barefoot here in downtown Los
I wouldn't
Angeles,
want
what you would
to do
step
that,
on.
but wouldn't you eventually, like, Brian, you're the right person to ask, the Humboldt people, that you get that sole on your
Yeah,
foot
you
that
build
looks
it up
like
the
you're wearing
calluses.
shoes because it's so disgusting that you could go walk through downtown and be fine.
But imagine being in in an important meeting. You know, you're going to go sell yourself and you're barefoot. At least you can be away from somebody if you don't brush your teeth.
Well, I guess.
You can have some mouthwash.
I'm brushing my teeth.
All right, Andy, round us out.
I got to brush my teeth for a year. I can't go an entire year without brushing my teeth. Like, the long-term damage from not brushing your teeth for a year is much greater than the long-term damage of going barefoot for a year. Like, you can negotiate where you're going to walk around, where it's going to do the least amount of damage from having been barefoot. You can't negotiate.
Gum, mouthwash.
No.
So
Okay,
gross.
also I'm saying that you can't brush your teeth, so maybe, you're the dentist more often, and they can brush your teeth for you.
That starts becoming really expensive as a workaround.
I like brushing my teeth. It's important. I like my shoes, but I like my teeth more.
Yeah, I don't even mind being barefoot. Like it becomes an excuse to get out of things you don't want to do. Sorry, they make you wear shoes.
What are you going to the glass factory a lot or something?
Well, there's no shirt, no shoes, no service.
Right. I mean,
around.
look, there are occasionally times where my wife wants me to meet up with people that I don't want to see. Sorry.
They're sticklers for shoes.
Yeah, what am I going to do? I'm just going to be at home brushing my teeth.
Did the Lakers kill the Warriors? That's next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
Travis Rogers, Alan Sliwa.
Day has the same person dropped off food at your house twice in one day? I don't
Great
know.
question.
Travis and Sliwa.
On 710 ESPN.
I don't know if this is true or not, but when I found out that Rocky makes 600 plus a year, and that the gorilla only pulls down a couple 100,000 a year, and that's a really good job too. Don't get me wrong. Is there not some aid, like how Scott Boras represents baseball players, and who's the Bill Duffy represents NBA players? Maverick Carter. Pick your favorite guy. Who's the mascot guy in this game? Like, there has to be, and I feel like there's
someone in CAA or something.
Opportunity for you and I to kind of open our own mascot agency and really advocate for people like the gorilla.
That would be phenomenal. That would be absolutely fantastic. Like, that's if nothing else, a great sketch that needs to appear on some show. That's really funny. According to NBC Sports, they don't have the exacts. Like, I don't know what the dollar amount is, but according to them, they rank the 27th highest paid mascots, like in order from highest to lowest. Rampage coming in at 21.
Ooh.
And he's got a ring.
And he works for the same guy that's paying Rocky.
I know.
Right? Stan Kroenke is the owner of the Nuggets and the Rams and Arsenal and the Colorado Avalanche. I don't know if they've got a mascot or not.
Is Rampage's pittance like is that basically because of Rocky?
Well, look, they probably have a mascot allocation that's the certain amount of money, and they can get distributed where they feel they're getting their most bang for the buck, and maybe that's where they decided to go.
Oh, my God. I've never known, actually, some of the names of these mascots. They're phenomenal.
What do you got?
For example, do you know the name of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers mascot?
No clue.
Captain Fear.
Captain Fear?
Captain Fear.
Is he dressed like Robert De Niro from the movie? I mean, like
Max Cady,
right? Like, what is he? What is he? Is he just a run-of-the-mill pirate? Like, if we're gonna name him Captain Fear, let's get creative with it. Have him tattoo his knuckles and doing pull-ups off to the side of the crossbar. Let's commit.
He's not all that scary looking. I gotta be honest. I mean,
not that many of them are.
He looks like your run-of-the-mill pirate. He's got a bandana, a beard. He's got another bandana tied around his
shoulder.
arm. No parrot on his shoulder. He does
have
a sword.
Okay.
He does have a sword. The name of the Niners mascot, do you know?
Well, it's got to be some Gold Rush related thing. Minor, maybe
Goldie.
Yeah, am I on the right?
No, you're not even
Niners.
close.
Okay, go ahead.
Sourdough Sam. Sourdough Sam.
Come on, man.
Bay Area, they like themselves.
I know that there's the Boudin Bakery up there, and it's sourdough's kind of their deal. But let's at least go rice-a-roni. Have him be the San Francisco treat on
the hills, the San Francisco hills.
The Saints mascot is named. I don't know if there's two mascots or he's got two names, but Gumbo and Sir Saint.
Gumbo's cool.
Gumbo's
I
cool.
can get with Gumbo. That works. Sir Saint.
Is Sir Saint a knight though? Like, what does he look like?
He's been knighted by King George or Charles. Charles, we're on Charles now.
He hangs out with Patrick
Stewart.
Stewart. Is downtown.
8 months.
Elton John, Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, why not?
Hang out together.
Nick Faldo.
Nick Faldo. Do you know the name of the Lions mascot?
No.
Roar.
You're really close.
Rar. Yeah, you beat me to it, Em.
Rory.
Oh, okay.
I don't hate it. If I'm being honest, I mean it's not clever, and then it is a little clever.
Okay, the Steelers mascot.
Oh, that's the guy with the hammer, right? Emily.
Miney.
Like
Miney.
Tiller, ironworker.
Pity.
Something.
But okay, this name I'm about to throw out sounds like a porn actor name.
Okay.
Steely McBeam.
McBeam with an M?
Steely McBeam.
Yes, it does.
Steel City beam. I mean, I
yes,
get
it
Well,
does.
he holds up a beam in like the older.
It's. You're right. Let's just leave it at that and say that you're not far off.
I mean, I'm really surprised that got past everyone.
Or it didn't. Yeah. Hey, no one will get it.
I mean, I wonder if every year they take a bunch of like parent complaints.
The worst part about what you said is that I just have this very specific visual of Steely McBeam now that I'm gonna have a hard time getting.
It's like in England when they named that boat, they're like, "Oh, everyone in England can vote," and they named it Boaty McBoatface. You know, that's kind of what we end up with.
The Browns. I don't know if the Browns have three.
They got like that little
Brown of
pixie
the Elf,
kind of
right?
thing.
Yeah.
Well,
Right?
I don't know if they have three different mascots or one mascot under three names, but it's Chomps, Swagger Jr., and like Emily just said, Brownie the Elf.
Swagger is the dog.
So these are different people.
So I definitely know that Swagger is the dog, and I think that Swagger may have passed away last year, and they have like Swagger too.
Well, that makes sense because it's Swagger Jr.
Oh, right, yes.
Steely McBeam for the win. I feel like that's the one that everyone else is chasing.
Again, they must hear from outraged parents every year, just pleading with the Steelers to think of the children every time they see Steely McBeam out there on the field.
Who is the mascot of the Travis and Sliwa show? Is it Anemic Out? I don't know.
Yeah, well, like if we're going animal, it's got to be Rookie, right? He's our little mascot.
Yeah,
like
but
in
gotta
the
have
more
a funny
traditional-
name for him.
we'd have to come up with something a little less mainstream and a little more Steely McBeam. I like Captain Fear.
Captain Fear.
Captain Fear is Well, it's a stupid name, but could have been taken into a really fun direction if you like channeling deeply troubling movies. That's an area that they could have explored.
I will tweet out at Cam Brothers a photo of Captain Fear.
I thought you were going to say Steely McBean.
No, I'm worried that well, now I need to know what he looks like.
I think you probably already do. All right.
He looks like the brawny man, like the toilet, the paper towel guy.
He's an iron worker, right? I mean, that's the Steelers,
and then some.
All right, Andy. I think we should probably leave Steely alone. Steely's had enough. Just we'll keep moving. I don't know how we talk about LeBron or the Warriors or anything at
Monty
this point.
Williams.
It's your show. You figure it out.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that we can get to 12 o'clock here.
I'm just here to derail it all.
Just come in here and throw stuff around the room. Bob Myers is out. Draymond's got a huge payday coming at his choice, right? He can opt into his contract. Clay wants an extension. Steph is 35, I want to say, 34, 35, to still one of the best players in the league, but he's in his mid-30s. Is this the end? Did we see the last version of that dynasty, which is those three players and that head coach and that executive, right? Kerr, Myers, Draymond, Clay, and Steph. We done? Is that the last we're going to see of that group?
I suspect no, but I do think it could be the last we see of that group where we really think about them as a championship favorite or somebody really in the mix. It felt to me like during last season, and I think even in the playoffs, you're starting to see the crack show in terms of just players getting older, and at some point your body starts betraying you. It stops cooperating. And, I think they still can be a good team.
They're going to be so expensive. Like, if Clay gets what he's looking for.
Well, I don't think he will. I don't think Clay will, because I don't think anybody's going to pay Clay like that.
Yeah. Joe Lacob was saying that because the new penalties for going over a certain threshold, they're severe.
This is actually something that Brian and I talked about on today's Locked on Lakers podcast.
Where would I find that?
Anywhere you get podcasts.
Okay.
Also,
is there a YouTube component?
There is a YouTube component.
Okay, good.
But with the new CBA, it becomes complicated for the Lakers, not just because of the taxes and the penalties and the idea of, pay up, Genie, but it starts really affecting your ability to build a team. Depending where you are, either under the first apron or above the second apron of the luxury tax, you lose mid-level exceptions, you lose the ability to pick up guys off the buyout market. You can't include
cash. You get super top-heavy if you go.
Right.
The Celtics are staring this right in the face.
Right. It becomes legitimately difficult to do a lot of this stuff. That being said, though, I feel like all of those guys, certainly Steph and Draymond, maybe Clay as well, I think they want to be lifers with that organization. And
doesn't happen very often.
Here's the thing, too, that I think is interesting with somebody like Draymond, who has put together a Hall of Fame career with the Warriors. He's known as one of the best defensive players of any generation and one of the most unique. And I want to make it clear, I'm not saying that this has been fake or propped up by the Warriors or whatever, but we have no idea how that translates anywhere else. And I would think that from Draymond's perspective, if you want to maintain the mystique, the best place to do it is in that house.
Without question. And I think he probably knows, and I think that's probably why it's less likely to happen. Not impossible, but less likely. All right, Brian Cox's birthday. That, of course, would be Logan Roy. And Emily's snake draft, our Thursday snake draft, is our favorite television characters of all time. Coming up next, it's Travis Slee. Andy's in for Slee on 710 ESPN. If you're serious
Here with John Ireland. Let's play the tape.
Would be on steroids in these things.
Yeah.
But did you guys get into that? Oh, my goodness.
What happened?
I am so proud of you.
I'm sorry, bro.
I am so proud of you.
I'm sorry, man.
He got me back.
I'm
Lee
sorry.
Just hit him with a glass of water.
No,
yes.
Here's a different shirt. Here's your shirt. I'm sorry.
So proud of you.
I had to do it.
Well, you absolutely had to do it. I was expecting it at the Mandy's, and it was a great sneak attack.
Yeah, not at the Mandy's.
By the way, I am drenched.
Yeah.
No,
did you know it was coming?
I had no idea.
Yes, Slee got Ireland back, splashed him with water. The payback was on. And now, Slee took 2 days off. Brilliant move by Slee. Strike and then get out of town. Andy Kabinetsky is sitting in for Slee today as we get ready for NBA Finals Game 1 tonight, which of course you could hear right here on 710 ESPN. Let's get to it. Travis and Slee with you Thursday right now.
Yeah. So Al hit the hit and run. He nailed Ireland yesterday. You think it was more of a get out of here before the retaliation to the retaliation happens.
Dude, he's out today.
Yes.
He's out Friday.
Yes.
There's a weekend.
Yes.
Monday, I'm like 99% sure Mason and Ireland is doing a remote show.
Okay.
Because I was originally going to be on that, and then Greg texted me, you don't need to. We're going to have Michael do it. It's like 96 hours in between what was, frankly, a mild splash. Slee was retreating. I mean, as Morales would say, gutless.
Well,
gutless.
For Al, and I know that he'd given this some thought, and I didn't know it was coming. He didn't tell me. Like, we had this, right after it had happened, we kind of talked about possible ways to retaliate. And I wanted to escalate this severely. He was uninterested in my suggestions. But I could tell yesterday, I didn't know it was going to happen, but he was distracted by something. There was a couple times I looked at him and he wasn't paying attention to what was going on. And then, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes later, pow! And he caught him kind of on his shoulder, on his chest, kind of in that area. I wanted a full face shot on Ireland, but he missed his target.
You know what he was thinking? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday. Okay, yeah. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it
on Tuesday.
I'm going to do it.
They'll be in
and
the
by
same
then,
room.
we'll just be live imaging Tuesday, and then we'll just talk about the Mandy's at that point in time. So it's a good timing.
Mandy's coming up a week from Saturday.
I know.
Crazy.
It feels like we just did them. They came around again quick. I'm looking forward to it. Last year was so much fun. Despite the Trav and Slee show coming home with Bupkis, it was still a great night, getting to hang out with everybody. It was super fun. I've seen a couple of I've seen what you all have seen on Twitter. It's going to be another great night. I can't wait.
Look, man, Morales and Jorge, they're good at this stuff.
Yes, they are.
And there's lots of surprises coming. So if you're there, you're going to be excited to see what you see.
Do you know any of them, Em?
I know some of them. Yeah. So, but I'm not going to say anything.
Let's go. Come on. You're leaving your guys
for
out in the
reason.
dark?
Yeah, it's a surprise
Like,
for a reason.
surprise for the audience or surprise for, like, us?
Maybe both. Who knows? Who knows?
Now I have to start doing some recon and see if Emily's not going to help me. I'm going to have to go to other sources.
All right, so it's the snake draft because
it's a snake draft.
Yes, exactly. It's a snake draft because it's Thursday and it is Brian Cox's birthday, who plays Logan Roy. Obviously, Succession just ended on Sunday, but it had some of the best characters in television show of all time. So we're going to do our snake draft of television characters, regardless of genre. They're all up against each other. Okay, so the order, and again, Travis picked them this week. I had
this is the first one I'm convinced is not fixed because I actually drew them myself.
It's Travis, then Brian, then Emily, then Andy, then back up, then back down again. All right, so Travis, you're
and
first.
they can vote on who they think did the best on social, right?
Exactly, and
Okay.
if we miss anybody, please tell us because obviously we're going to miss Ted. Like we do every time.
Right.
All right, Travis.
Andy knew who I was going to pick when I drew my own name out of the hat. Andy goes, "I already know who you're taking," and he was right.
I do too.
Do you?
I have a strong feeling.
Okay, and it's. I think if you just put this person's picture up, not only would all of us know it, and the vast majority of this country know it. I think around the world, almost. I shouldn't say everybody, but most people would know who this character is. I'm taking Homer Simpson with my number one pick.
Actually, that is a surprise for me.
Yeah.
This was dead obvious to me.
Yeah, I'm taking Homer Simpson number one overall.
All right, Brian, you're next.
Second overall, I'll take classic Michael Scott.
Great
no
choice.
better
Ooh.
boss, no better person.
Great
to be around.
choice.
Give me Michael.
Hey, so we got two
That's what she said.
comedians right off the bat. Okay, so I have some good choices here. I am going to go dramatic. I think I'm going to go personal on this one because I personally had a poster of this person in my room growing up in high school. It's still there. And it's
still hanging in the wall?
It's still hanging on the wall.
That's great.
It's Walter White, portrayed by Bryan Cranston. So Walter White is my TV character.
Bryan Cranston, who has a presence at the Mandy's.
Indeed he does.
Yes, he is.
Bryan Cranston is everywhere, like with this station, with sports.
The commercial he voices for MLB and it appears in, terrific.
Cranston just has a great voice for that stuff,
He's got
period.
skills.
Okay, my first pick, this is considered by many to be the greatest dramatic TV show ever, and I think this is the most compelling character from the show, Omar Little from The Wire.
Oh, good choice. Good choice.
One of the most complex and interesting characters ever in TV. For my second pick, I'm going to go comedy. One of the funniest characters ever created and one of the great gifts of all time, Lucille Bluth from Arrested Development.
Dang you, Andy. Ugh.
She's so great. She's
That's a
so great.
That's the actress who played
Jessica
her.
Walter.
Yeah.
She voices Mallory Archer, and
Yes.
she's unbelievable.
We
in that as
lost
well.
her about a year or so ago. She's
Yes.
wonderful.
How much could a banana cost?
$10.
There's always money in the banana stand. Okay, so I'm also going to go comedic on my second choice. And I was going to do Lucille Bluth, but that's okay. I'm kind of stuck between two people, but I'm going to go with the one I loved the most, and I think the more popular show. I'm going to go Liz Lemon as my second choice.
Ooh, that is also
and
good.
A quote from her was my senior quote in my yearbook.
Which was?
It was, "Where's my mac and cheese?"
She's great.
That's my thing. All right, so Brian. Next.
My second pick, I'll stay comedy. Another boss. I'm going to go Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec. Classic. Very underrated role.
Great character and great
Fits in
show.
perfectly, yeah.
Great show. I'm going dramatic. I have my comedian on the board. This is one of my favorite dramatic shows of all time. It's an incredibly interesting character.
I know this one.
Played by an actor that I enjoy in a variety of different things. But this is, every time you see him in something, you don't think of him as blank the actor. You think of him as, oh, that's Don Draper. So I'm going to take Don Draper. Don Draper is my my second choice from
And
Mad Men.
Final pick?
Is that who you thought I was going to take, number one overall?
Yeah. I whispered it to Tyler before you picked it.
Yeah, so Don Draper is my second choice. And then Don Draper can go kind of dark to be sure, but I'm going to go super, super dark with my next one, Tony Soprano. Tony Soprano is my third and final
Tony
choice.
has some light moments as well.
A few that are usually drug fueled, but they are in there. Yes.
But yeah, Travis, I think you've already won. But it's okay. Brian.
My last pick is the last one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last pick.
I'm going to go with a little more of a drama. Rick Grimes from early days Walking Dead.
I don't know that show.
That's what I want.
Okay.
He Andrew Lincoln was the actor, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Up
he was
until
the
about season 4.
original main character
Okay.
of The Walking Dead.
Emily.
Okay. So, I'm really stuck because there's so many people to choose from. But I'm going to go with the reason why we're doing this draft. I'm going to go with Logan Roy. I think that for me personally, you could really tell in this season, for me, why there was such a dip in the fourth season was because you took away the center of the universe, Logan Roy, out of it. So I'm putting Logan Roy, his iconic speeches, his iconic, words that I can't say on radio. It's amazing. So Logan Roy is my third choice.
Yeah, I agree with Emily that once this is put to the people, Travis is going to end up winning.
Yeah, by like 1 million.
So with that in mind, I'm going to go personal as opposed to, I think it's a great character, but as opposed to trying to win, Vic Mackey from The Shield.
Oh, great show.
Great, my all-time
Michael
favorite.
Chiklis.
Yeah, my all-time favorite drama, and Vic Mackey is one of the all-time great characters.
That's a pretty good one, Em. Good job. I hope I win. These are all shows that I still watch The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I think you're going to end up winning because you have the most purely iconic characters.
Right.
Yeah.
Tony Soprano will probably win it for you. I had also on my list, I had Gus Fring. Could have been great. I could have gone like
I
some...
almost went Gus because
I almost went Jesse Pinkman.
Jesse
Yeah.
would be a
I
good
think
choice.
There's also
Jesse's
Creed Bratton from The Office. I think it's actually a fantastic character that isn't like as well known.
The other comedic one that I was considering, and it's as mainstream as it comes, but it's also maybe the greatest comedic role in television, is Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The Jerry Seinfeld, that show's still on 900 times
I would
a
not.
day.
I had someone from Seinfeld on my list, but it was not Jerry. It was George Costanza.
Oh, I thought you said Elaine.
No.
Elaine was great, too.
Well,
Emily knows my feelings on Elaine.
Elaine. Oh, look. All four were great.
Also, Selena Meyer was very high on my list.
Yep.
I probably would have. I wanted to only have one comedic, so if I had another comedic, I would have picked Selena Meyer.
A few others that I had. NoHo Hank. NoHo Hank
yeah.
is
Okay, but
so...
Also, his
Fun-
ending,
terrific.
I'm kind of a little off on.
I had Dee Reynolds from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Charlie Kelly, also from It's Always Sunny.
Larry Sanders from The Larry Sanders Show. Sam Malone.
On my list.
Sam Malone was on my list. And Al from Atlanta.
I thought Al from Alf.
No. Al from Atlanta was on my list as well.
How was Alf a TV show? How did we ever green like that one?
Oh my! Have you ever read the book Permanent Midnight or seen the movie Permanent Midnight?
No.
It's written by what is his name? Jerry Stahl, and he was this drug addict, like big time heroin addict, who ended up getting a job, like a career writing in Hollywood, and he wrote for, among other shows, Alf, and like he kept like just screwing up, drugged out, and he kept just failing upward. But the first TV show he ever wrote for was Alf, and when he got the opportunity to interview, like they were told, write a spec script. He had no idea what a spec script even looked like or how long it was supposed to be. He wrote like this 200-page opus where Alf has this like existential crisis of realizing that he's an alien, like what it all means. And he like turned this thing in, then found out what Alf was and was like, there's no way I'm getting this. He got hired.
Emily, do you know what Alf is?
I'm aware of the name.
Okay, so ALF was an acronym for Alien Life Form.
Yeah.
It was a puppet that just sat on the couch, really. Didn't really do much other than that, and wanted to eat the family's cat. That was the gag.
He later wrote, Jerry Stahl, for, I remember reading it in the book, he wrote for Sybil Shepherd's show, Sybil, and there was a meeting over at her house, and he had to fix so badly that he shot up in her bathroom and accidentally sprayed blood all over the bathroom. I guess he hit like a bad vein or something.
That's aggressive.
Yeah, he still kept his job.
But
hey, not everybody can write for Alf, Andy. That's one of the things you need.
877-710-3776. Who did we miss? Who would you have put on your list? Also tweeted us at Travis Rogers, at Kamenetsky Brothers.
At Cam Bros.
At Cam Bros.
Cam Brothers, I'm
at
sorry,
Emily.
Cam Brothers.
Neither one of you know.
Cam Brothers. Cam Bros is Kathy Ambrose.
Right.
Oh, okay. You should see what she thinks.
She hates us.
Throw that one out there as well. Andy says that the finals, which begin tonight, are going to tell us a lot about where the Lakers are for next season. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Because right now, new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. Visit FanDuel.com/play and get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
21 plus and present.
Sliwa
on 710 ESPN.
I think I was better off not seeing Steely McBeam that you tweeted out a second ago, Andy. We gotten on the how do we? Oh, that Rocky the mascot from the Nuggets makes over $500,000 a year as a mascot, and started going through the list. Steely McBeam is the one that's like, yeah, I don't love that name. Makes me feel a little uncomfortable.
He carries around a beam.
He does. He did. That's right there in his name.
Mm-hmm.
He just, whatever you need, Steely McBeam is the man that can come
Is that
in.
a beam in your hand?
To take care of business. You need something fixed, he's got you
right there.
He's got you taken care of. Game 1, NBA Finals tonight in Denver. The Nuggets are heavy favorites in this series. I believe they're the third heaviest favorite in NBA history. That the Spurs-Cavs series, the first time LeBron went to the finals, ended in a sweep with the Cavs. Or for the Spurs. The next one was the Warriors-Cavs a few years ago, ended in a sweep with the Warriors. So this one is the next one in the line. So that's how heavy of a favorite that they are.
I think they should be this heavy of favorites.
I agree with you. I would be really surprised if the Heat win a title, but make this a 6 or 7 game series.
I'm going Denver in 5.
I would pick the same at this point. You said something interesting to me this morning that you think the results of this, and in particular how much resistance Miami puts up against Denver, tells us a lot about the Laker team we just saw.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like because the Lakers got swept by Denver, but I do think it was about as competitive, like legitimately competitive of a sweep as you can have. Like the Lakers had opportunities to win pretty much in all those games. Maybe game 3 is the one that felt most completely controlled by Denver, or if nothing else, it was the one I think that had the biggest margin of victory. Mm-hmm. But even like game 4, when they lost, they had quite literally an opportunity to the very last second to win that game. And ultimately, I think Denver being the better team and also the team with a much wider margin for error, and those margins really matter in the playoffs, it showed through. But if Miami pushes this thing to 6 or 7, you might feel like the Lakers, okay, they really are further from whatever it takes to separate yourself from the best in the West. If Miami ends up going out in 4 or 5 games, you may feel, all right, if you consider this team possibly run back with an actual training camp, the ability to start working on the counters and the counters to the counters and all those different things that become so important in the playoffs, actual continuity, which Denver's had a lot of and the Lakers had none of. If this is what it looks like against the team that faces Denver in the finals, I think the Lakers are in good shape either way, but you might walk away feeling even better about it.
Well, I like what you said, because you're talking about get a training camp, get to know each other, and yes to all of that. But in addition to that, I think is if that group were together the whole season, you don't have to burn the candle at both ends. You don't have to push as aggressively as you did towards the end of the season just to get in, right? That this team together, if they just win at the rate that they did, they're one of the 4 best teams in the West. They're in that. You don't have to worry about AD needs a night, give him a night. LeBron needs a little more time to get that foot right, give him a little more time to get that foot right. You don't have to spend as much capital just to get in, which they did, which I think kind of put them at a little bit of a deficit going into the postseason.
They played essentially playoff basketball for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Then the playoffs began.
Yeah, no, they had to do everything they could to do it. I think that you're right about that. I think the theory that you're putting out there, I agree with, but I do think that it could potentially be misleading as well, because the Nuggets being the best team, it feels obvious at this point, right? That the Lakers played them tough is good news, but that doesn't mean that just because if Miami gets clobbered by them and they took out Phoenix relatively, et cetera, that you're actually close to them. It means that they're really good, that they could be number 1 with a bullet, and then number 2 through number 10 in the West, kind of all throw them in a hat and shake them up. And you got to be healthy, you got to be hot, you got to be all of these things to get through, which is usually the case in the postseason anyway. But I don't know if we played them as tough as anybody else, therefore we're automatically number 2 in the conference or number 3 or 4. That you're still among the others. You're not as bad as maybe, not bad, that's the wrong word. You're maybe not just one of the teams that we're talking about because you got the good draw and all that. I think everybody other than the Nuggets is kind of lumped together, which means you go into the first round next year and you have a bad series, you're clipped in the first round.
Sure. I mean, look, that's always possible. And it's possible that if Denver ends up winning the whole thing, like you and I suspect that they will, this could be the start of a 3 to 5 year period where Denver is the best team in the West.
They're the standard.
Right. They become the standard the way Golden State had been the standard, or like in the late part of the 2000s, 2010, 2011, the Kobe Powell Lakers were the standard until they eventually weren't. I think that's possible with Denver because Jokic is incredible, and Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., KCP, like they're all at a really good age for all this. They've got a great coach in Michael Malone. But you still need to give yourself the opportunity if, say, something goes wrong with Denver, if repeating, that can wear on a team. Like you have a target on your back at all times. It really becomes a question of, okay, if an opportunity opens, are we in a position to cash in? That's a lot of what you're actually gauging.
I think the thing with Denver, too, and you look at it, and defending is hard, repeating is hard, and you got to get lucky. Like Denver, relative to they're healthy, where they are right now, all of those things. There's also, they're kind of a traditional NBA team in the sense that they got kind of close. You go back a couple of years ago, Western Conference Finals against the Lakers in the bubble. And then they were in the playoffs, but not really in it, but for very obvious reasons that Jamal Murray is not there. You've got Michael Porter Jr. is not there. And then once they got all their guys back, they'd had the experience. They'd been in a couple of those proverbial fights to be there. And they're a team. Like you said, this is a group that's been together for a while. This is a coach that knows his personnel really well. Their best player is not reliant on this freakish athleticism to just kind of run through, over, and around people. He just knows how to play at a level that is so extraordinary. He could be 40 and still be doing most of the stuff he does now, he could do then. That I do think that they're going to be set up, unless guys start getting greedy and it gets harder to pay those role guys the way that it is. And I don't mean greedy in a bad way, but somebody's offering you the bag over there, you go take it. That's how it works. They do feel set up for a pretty substantial run, maybe not to rip off a bunch of titles in a row, but it's at least going through us for a long time because there's nothing about it that feels slapped together. Like it feels very permanent what they've built.
They're an extremely well-constructed team.
Yeah.
The parts fit really well. Like Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray play off each other as well as any duo in the league. It's interesting because you would argue they're also the two biggest defensive liability, thank you, on this team, but they're surrounded by three good defenders in that starting lineup, or Bruce Brown, depending on how you want to do this. Like Michael Porter Jr. for a long time had been considered the guy to attack because defensively he just frankly was indifferent.
Yeah,
he's not that guy anymore. Like he's not a shutdown guy, but he's not a problem the way that he used to.
You know what they have, too? They have just the right amount of guys that fit in exactly right. And I'm talking about KCP. Like, KCP was not the best player when the Lakers won in 2020. That's AD, that's LeBron. Alex Caruso was very important to what they were doing. Dwight played JaVale. But KCP was out there a lot when the game was on the line. And you need me to make a shot? I may or may not make it, but I'm not going to miss it because I'm terrified that you pass me the ball at the end of the game. I'm going to defend. I'm going to compete. I'm going to be a good teammate. All of these championship teams have one of those guys, and KCP is the kind of the quintessential one of those guys.
Well, I'm looking right now at their salary structure. Jokic is under a long-term deal that he offered no suspense when it came to his extension. He was asked about it. He's like, they put it in front of me, I'm taking it. Yeah. Like it's a lot of money. I like it.
You don't know how to do TV, Jokic?
Right. Well, he doesn't care.
No,
like,
he
just wants to be back in Serbia with his horses.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray, I believe, is extension eligible this offseason. My guess is they'll work it out. Michael Porter is under contract for a long time. Aaron Gordon's got a couple more years. KCP has a player option next year. It wouldn't shock me if they look to lock him up if possible. Yeah. I think they like this good thing that they have.
Porter Jr. is one of those things that Sometimes you got to take a chance and be patient with the chance. Remember, he was very highly regarded coming out, but it was his back.
It was his back.
He just could not stay healthy in college. He comes into the league, and the question was always, look, if he's ever right, he's going to be really good, but he may never be right. And he wasn't. It took a long time for him to get his health squared away, and the Nuggets could have cut bait who knows how many different times on it. Just said, look, it's just not going to happen. That they were patient with him. Because the Lakers and most teams, right? He's a 6'10" guy that can shoot. He's physical to a degree. I mean, he's not Karl Malone or anything like that, but he's not a wallflower either. He's not just out there. He defends to a point. You got to kind of be patient with the guys. Like this is a project. It may not hit, but just if it doesn't hit right away, doesn't mean you automatically have to move on to the next guy. And I think the Lakers are victims to this, and I think most of the NBA is as well. I'm not singling out the Lakers. Sometimes when you have that extraordinary talent, just let it happen. Don't try to rush it quite too much.
Yeah, I mean, these by the way, these are decisions the Lakers are going to be thinking about when it comes to like projecting Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell this offseason.
All right, let's talk about those three guys when we come back. Plus, Otani's doing Otani things, and the clock is ticking. And I read something that's downright hilarious coming up next. It's Trav and Slee. Andy's in for Slee on 710 ESPN.
Rogers, Alan Sliwa, Travis and Sliwa.
But do you think it's the right move? Do you think it's the right strategy?
No. Live from LA Live on 710 ESPN.
So we took a little break, but I wanted to do one last spelling bee before we ended the show today. So today is the day of the National Scripps National Spelling Bee, and I was testing everybody's spelling ability. Brian is doing great. He's filling in for Taylor. But I'm also wondering how Taylor and Alan would do. I think they'd probably do fine. I think Alan would do well, but who knows?
I don't know. I've never really seen him write anything. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just have never seen like his outline or anything.
Right, exactly.
Probably all right.
Yeah. All right, so Travis, you're up first.
Oh, boy.
Your word is connoisseur. Connoisseur.
I got no shot here. This is...
Well, that's a toughie, actually.
Yeah, CONN. ISEUR.
Incredibly close.
Yeah.
It is CONNOISS.
Oh, that was off by 2 letters. Not as close as you're making it sound.
All right, Andy, your word is dichotomy.
Ooh,
Dichotomy.
DICHOTOMY.
All right, 4 for 4 with Andy. Or 5 for 5. I can't remember how many we did.
Nice work.
All right, Brian, you're up next. All right, you're gonna redeem yourself. This one is the name of a famous musician now, but your word is labyrinth. Labyrinth.
I'm going to go LAB.
Good start.
RITH.
There's a Y in there somewhere.
And an N.
I don't know how to spell
There's
it.
an N?
Yeah.
There is an N, yeah.
Is that your final answer,
That's
Brian?
my final answer.
All right.
I don't know how to do that one either, Brian. Don't feel bad.
The word is LABYRINTH. That is
2 letters off. Not
labyrinth.
We know what you were doing in Humboldt.
Same thing everybody else does in Humboldt.
All right, last
Who's
one.
being barefoot?
Right. Yes, that's what I mean. Barefoot.
What else
Last
could it
one for Tyler. It's going to be Munster. Munster.
Like the cheese?
Yeah,
Yes, like
like
the
the
cheese.
cheese. It's MEUNSTER, Munster.
Incorrect. It
Is
is
it MUE?
MUE.
I can never tell if the U comes first.
MUE.
No.
Yeah, it's
Muenster.
MUENSTER, which is why it's
Muenster
difficult.
cheese.
It's like I was thinking connoisseur for your
Yeah,
word. Because it's O.
I knew
like
that there was
OI.
multiple N's and S's and O's and
Yeah.
U. I
Yeah,
was
what are
good.
these letters doing here?
But good job, guys. And good luck to the kiddos tonight.
Is it? It's on TV. Is it still on ESPN? I don't think so.
remember what channel it's on anymore, because I do think that ESPN doesn't do it anymore.
The guy that reads the words is my favorite guy. He gets so excited to say, connoisseur. The origin is Latin. And then he'll use it in a weird sentence. It's always great.
Yeah, they always use it in a sentence that you can tell these kids are like, that doesn't help me.
They try to be funny, and I guess in spelling bee culture it is, but it's
Because
not.
like, no, I'm asking for help.
Yes.
Like, I'm not here for your yucks. I need help.
It's on the Ion channel, so if you got that on cable.
Ion?
Yeah,
This
I've
thing
actually
used to
watched
be on
it.
like prime time on ABC.
I know,
What
it used to be on
happened?
ESPN, ABC. I think
Do
obviously
people still have cable?
Maybe, but
I do.
Ion I think used to
Not cable, but DirecTV. Does that
Wow.
count?
Yeah, that counts.
I
Yeah.
think Ion does like long Criminal Minds marathons. Is all I
Yes, they
remember,
do.
But that's all.
Not a bad show. by
I've
the
seen.
way.
Don't they do like that in Magnum?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's-
do. I think it's like Discovery-esque.
Yeah, because I've seen my mom do like a Magnum and Blue Bloods marathon. I'm pretty
No,
sure.
she's got. I think it's more of a Tom Selleck thing for Mrs. Kamenetsky.
It may be, but I'm pretty sure it's also an Ion thing.
So, do you do that? Do you like you're flipping? I watch old TV shows much more than I watch new ones, but I'm not talking old like early 2000s or even 90s. I'm talking like 70s. Do you ever go deep in your childhood repertoire?
Dude, if I land on Good Times, it's done.
What about Emergency? You ever watch that?
Oh, Randolph Mantooth.
Randolph Mantooth playing Johnny Gage.
I have not seen it in eons. I just remember it. Like I vaguely remember
It's
it.
better than you remember. It's
Really?
terrific. It makes no sense. They have it's what I don't know what was going on in the 70s, but it's I still love it. I still watch it probably way more than I'm even comfortable admitting. They'll start a story, go like halfway through it, and then just drop it. There's no conclusion.
That's one of the things I've actually noticed while, like, if my mom's in town and she's watching one of her Ion marathons that inevitably is a lot of Magnum PI. Those Magnum PI, like the original one with Tom Selleck,
yeah,
those plot lines are wild.
They don't make any sense.
None. Absolutely none. And they pack in a lot of story. Like, there'll be times where I'll be like, wait, this is still the same episode? Like,
he's solving multiple crimes.
It's crazy how much they put in there.
I did like when he'd get in TC's helicopter. That was always very exciting for Magnum.
To the chopper.
Different chopper.
She's just eventually we're going to circle back to was it Predator? That's what it's from. Predator, I think. Well, that was.
I thought Predator was the one with the.
Predator's the one with the
in
meme.
the jungle.
The meme now with the handshake.
I don't know that meme.
Yes, I think I know.
With
but I
like
thought,
the jungly background,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
It
I know
had
the
Jesse
meme.
the Body. It had Arnold Schwarzenegger, obviously. It had Carl Weathers. I think he gets killed very early in the plot. And then it's the alien that can hide in mud. Or no, Arnold hides in mud. Somebody hides in
Get to the Choppa is Predator.
Yes.
But isn't Tom Hardy in a new version of Predator? Or is that a different total movie?
There was recently on Hulu a version of Predator called Prey.
Oh no, this one's called Venom. I'm sorry, I'm completely lost.
Venom is like a Marvel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I'm completely
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah, she's crossed the streams. That's Ghostbusters.
There we go.
So just to bring it full circle from 80s movies. Otani hit a pair yesterday. Trout hit a pair yesterday. We're getting close to not close necessarily. We're 2 months away from the Major League Baseball trade deadline. From the moment they didn't trade him at last year's deadline, the question about whether or not the Angels will trade him at this year's deadline with Otani has been the topic of the Angels, right? So Jeff Passan writes this very thoughtful article on ESPN.com about who might go where, and the jumping off point is Otani. And he echoed what I think is the common wisdom of, as long as the Angels are within spitting distance of a playoff spot, they're going to hold on to him and cross their fingers and hope they catch lightning in a bottle, right? In that same article was wasting two Hall of Famers' careers, a long shot to play meaningful games beyond September. Missing out and keeping him leads to disaster. The Nats and Juan Soto drew one of the largest prospect hauls of all time in the Soto trade. Could rebuild a bad farm system overnight, which means the trade, right? And then finally, if the worst thing happens, you keep him, you don't make it, or you're out very quickly, you get a draft pick for your troubles, which is, quote, the saddest of reminders of his time here in Los Angeles. So it's just really well done. And everything in this is like, I get what you're trying to do, and in some ways, I guess it makes sense, but you could really kind of jumpstart Angel post-Otani time by making a move, and everybody's pretty certain that they're not going to do
Okay,
it.
let me offer two potential rationales that at least make some degree of sense with the, I guess if nothing else, the narrative the Angels are presenting pretty heavily that we are going to hang on to Otani.
Mm-hmm.
I guess unless we are 20 games below 500 at the deadline, something like that. A, if they legitimately feel like, if they're wrong, but if they really feel like we can make some noise if we get into the playoffs, we can actually win a World Series. Whatever comes after that is worth it. Like if, say, we end up losing this once in a many generation talent for nothing, but we get a World Series out of it, you know, big picture, practical thinking, it's not worth it. But in terms of the worth of a championship, I mean, everybody says.
I think that scenario, Andy, it is worth it. You got another championship, and then you did everything you could, and he just made a choice.
Because at that
you
point,
can live with that.
Right. At that point, you showed him a World Series championship, and he still said, I'm leaving. You showed him the best thing you possibly could, and he just said, I don't want to be here. But again, you get the World Series out of it. I think you can live with yourself that way. The other thing they could
that is the narrowest of needles to thread.
Of course it is. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But the other thing they could be doing right now is just ratcheting up the price for when this eventually happens. They are putting out every signal. No, we're not going to do this because they know they're going to get the calls anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like people are going to be like, well, they said no, so we're not going to bother calling. They are putting out every signal to anybody, including like Otani's camp. He ain't moving. He ain't moving. Because they want to make sure that they get the absolute best package possible. They want to put it out there. We hate the idea of doing this.
I'm sure they do, but if they wanted maximum return, and this is part of their poker hand, where they're just, no, we're playing the hand. We're playing the hand. Keep in mind, the Nats did something very similar with Juan Soto last year. Their GM went on the local radio and said, we're not trading Juan Soto. He's part of our future. We're not doing it. And about 45 days later, he was in San Diego. So,
right. But did they like their haul?
They got him King's ransom.
That's my point, though.
Sure. But if what the Nats did, what the Angels opted not to do, they played the same poker game to a point of we're not going to do it. But they also traded him when they knew that a absolute windfall of prospects. The Angels will get a lot for Otani. They would have gotten more a year ago. They would have gotten a lot more a year ago. I mean, to the point of maybe double or triple
That's
what
true.
they might get here. So if their intention is to play poker with this, they've already lost because they would have gotten more a year ago.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. They may be thinking about this. There's obviously the maximum pot that they could have won, which is last year.
Mm-hmm.
But they may say we'd rather take the chance on a large pot as opposed to maximum because we want to try to keep him if we can, and we are so prepared to try to keep him that we will pass up a maximum pot for what's going to be a large pot. I mean, if they trade him at the deadline, I think they're still going to get a pretty big pot.
Yes.
Because all these other teams, they have no guarantee that once Otani's a free agent, he's going to go to them.
He's going to leave, right?
And in all, well, that he's going to go to them,
Sure,
even if they
sure.
think he's going to leave.
Yeah.
Even if you're a team like the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mariners, you still don't know he's going to join you.
That's the part I think that's the most intriguing thing for me in this whole thing, to take it off of the Angels' plate and talk about it from the other 31 teams theoretically, is do you throw out a really attractive package to get it done today or before the deadline, thinking that you may have a chance to get him at and the Dodgers are really the best example of this. The Dodgers have an absolute arsenal of prospects that they could use to go get him. But they're also probably the leader in the clubhouse right now of getting him for basically just money. They just have to pay him what he wants and get him to come anyway. And you'd have all these prospects, and you'd have whatever you'd keep in the deal. Do you pay the prospect tax anyway just to assure that someone else doesn't get to go and have him in the organization for a couple of months? Do you pay twice in essence?
To me, absolutely.
I agree with you. We were talking about with John, and I don't want him to go on the proverbial date with anybody else. I don't want him to have a chance to fall in love somewhere else.
Here's the example, and this is one that LA fans will understand very well. Everybody, including the Lakers, they were convinced Paul George was going to leave Oklahoma City and become a Laker. Like, I think there was a point where the Lakers were actually more convinced that they were getting Paul George than LeBron. Paul George ended up staying in Oklahoma City, which nobody thought he was going to do. The point being, and Paul George had been sending out all these signals. He wanted to be a Laker. He wanted to be in Southern California. You do never know, especially like OKC. They're a really well-run organization.
Yeah.
You give somebody a taste of a thing that's well-run, you never know how much they're going to like it.
The other part of this that is because the Angels are the B team in town, they're the Clippers or take whatever. We know which is the A and which is the B and all these things. It's not gonna land the same way it was if it were the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Braves or the Cubs or even the San Francisco Giants or one of those teams. That they're going to have Mike Trout and Shohei Otani in the prime of their lives and have nothing to show for it is reprehensible. It is really a shocking statement that you have two guys that Mike Trout probably isn't the best player I've ever seen, but he's not past third or fourth.
Well, Mike Trout, how long did it take for Mike Trout in the league before he was universally declared best player in the game?
2 years.
If that.
Yeah. 2 years. I think there was still Miguel Cabrera, it's Bryce. But for the last 8 years, it's been until Otani showed up.
There was actually, I do remember when there was actually a debate between
it's insane.
Mike Trout and Yasiel Puig.
It's an insane proposition. But nothing. And it's not like you had him for a minute and you just missed it. Trout's in his 10th season. Otani's in his 6th. This is lunacy.
Well, I think at least the Angels can take some degree of comfort knowing. I think Mike Trout at this point has like Stockholm syndrome, and he has fallen in love with the prison warden and the prison, and he's afraid to leave. He's like Red in Shawshank. He's afraid of the outside world. He's grown to love prison.
You get busy living or you get busy dying.
I think Mike Trout has landed on get busy dying.
The Dump coming up next. It's Travis Slee, and he's in for Slee on 710 ESPN. Hey, if you get hurt in an accident, you need to know that not all personal injury attorneys are created the same. That's why Sweet James has been awarded Best Attorneys in America in personal injury. It's all that they do. This is the sort of experience that we're talking about. 20 years nearly of representing accident victims, and before that, working for the insurance company, which means he knows both sides of it. That's how you win best attorneys in America, by not letting those insurance companies run over their clients and getting them what they deserve. And what he's gotten them is over $1 billion in that nearly 20-year career. $1 billion in settlements in Sweet James's career. So if you're hurt in an accident, do what I've done and call Sweet James. 1-800-9-million. That's 1-800-900-0000. And, of course, you can go online at sweetjames.com. One more time, 1-800-9-million. That's 1-800-900-0000.
Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
For everything we haven't gotten to today, yes, it's time for the dump.
All right, I don't know how this works, but LSU football, the LSU Tigers, are going to wear air-conditioned helmets for the upcoming season. And you may know more about air conditioning technology than I do, but the air conditioning I have attached to my house is fairly large. I don't know how you fit that inside a helmet. The unit inside a car is pretty good size. I don't know how this works.
I don't really understand it either.
And maybe like if it's like wiring or something that it gets like if it gets wet might be a bad idea.
That doesn't seem really great.
According to this article, WAFB.com, with the latest being an air-conditioned helmet designed by Tiger Air, they created the Air Accelerator to help athletes, industrial workers, and military personnel stay cool. The helmet will last 5 hours, and LSU players will be wearing them during practice and at games. It does not explain how it works. It sounds like there's a shelf life on the air conditioning. So maybe it's
like when I tie the wet towel around my neck on the golf course, and eventually it's just warm and it doesn't work anymore.
I guess
idea?
It could be like that, but much more expensive.
Something like this also could, like, I don't know, it could save people's lives. It could be really impactful for these players because in the long run we see these stories all the time about people overheating and all that stuff, and like in the summer in their workouts. So this could be really impactful long term.
All right, Will Ferrell is in talks to star as John Madden in a new movie called Madden. The new film is based on the Super Bowl winning coach per Deadline and his role as a broadcaster and video game icon. So presumably, if I'm just reading this, not when he was the coach of the Raiders, but like post-coaching career, Ferrell seems like a really good choice to play that role.
It's not just fairly good. That's dead-ass perfect.
Yeah.
Like, Will Ferrell is perfect casting there. I think he'll be great.
he's I don't want to say much, he's a good dramatic actor. Like, he's obviously got his chops in comedy, but when he plays it straight, he's really good in that. I think he'd pull that off for sure.
I think he'll be really good there. And I think, too, because Will Ferrell is a big sports fan, I imagine he has a genuine affection for John Madden. So I don't think he's going to want to do this as like broad comedy. I think he's going to want to play John Madden for real.
Is there anybody else in Ireland, you can weigh in on this one too, that's had 3 distinct acts in their life the way that John Madden did? He was John Madden Super Bowl winning coach. He was John Madden Hall of Fame broadcaster and John Madden video game icon. Like, they're all connected obviously, but they're 3. My kids only know him from the video games, but they know Madden.
Magic Johnson.
That's a great question. That's a good answer. Yeah, Magic Johnson, player, businessman, now sports owner.
Okay.
That's and HIV activist.
Okay.
Hope provider.
I'm a big Frank Sinatra guy, and Sinatra was the biggest talent in the world singing, and then became a movie star, and then completely fell to the bottom.
Yeah.
Tried to commit suicide, and came all the way back. But yeah, that's a good...
What about Jordan? Obviously athlete and just fashion icon. Frankly, the Jordan brand...
I've got a good one. George Foreman.
Grill and fighter?
Well, fighter, then grill,
entrepreneur.
then fighter again.
Okay,
came back
2
and won the
fighter.
title. Yeah, which would be, a little bit crazy.
You made a face at Jordan, Andy.
Well, the problem with him being a fashion icon is obviously the Air Jordans changed the sneaker industry. But as far as what Michael Jordan wears,
acid wash jeans,
he tends to get made fun of more than inspire fashion.
I'm not saying that he's the model for this, but his product with his likeness
that is true.
Has become iconic.
That is true.
I didn't know Sinatra tried to take himself out. I didn't
know
that.
Yeah, tried to turned on a gas stove and shut all the windows and tried to, like people do in their cars.
Right.
Didn't work. Didn't take.
I mean, Jay-Z's gone rapper to pick your hyphenate mogul in whatever. Now he's, he gets involved with the NFL. Like, Jay-Z has his hands in a lot of different pots.
Get that Madden movie made. Happy birthday to Marilyn Monroe. Emily, do we know how old she would have been had she still been with us? Got to be over 100 at this point, I would think, right? Or close to it?
I'm looking up right now.
All right. Marilyn Monroe fan, Andy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My wife's all-time favorite movie is Some Like It Hot.
Okay, I know that one. What's the one where they're running around the Hotel Del down in Coronado?
Gentlemen Prefer Blondes?
7-Year Itch?
7-Year Itch?
Is that... What's the itch? It's Jack Lemmon dressed as a woman?
That's Some Like It Hot.
Oh, okay. That's the one. That's the one.
So she was born in 1926, so that would be nearly 100 years old. So
97.
97? That's...
And died in her 30s?
Yeah,
35.
Okay.
A long time ago. She's buried here, right? Like over by Westwood, in that mausoleum that's right by UCLA.
Could be. Supposedly she got discovered in a coffee shop in Hollywood.
Well, she was kind of the apocryphal tale of just come out here, and if you've got the look and all those things, that they'll find you and start putting in movies.
Right. Well, the old line is the best-looking girl from every high school in the country eventually ends up here.
National Heimlich Maneuver Day. Have you ever had to apply the Heimlich Maneuver to somebody?
All right. This will make you laugh. I was taught the Heimlich Maneuver. And so I had it in the back of my head. And on the Laker plane one year, Bill McDonald started choking. And nobody was doing anything. Nobody was trying to help him. And I go, well, let me see if I can do it. And I got up and
you're like the radio guy. You're like, man, I get a TV gig in a minute.
Yeah, you would think I would have been the one leading the nothing.
Leave him alone.
So I went in behind him and started doing it, and he turns and looks at me and goes, "What are you doing?" And I stopped, and he just got over it himself.
He coughed it up himself.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to do it, Andy?
No.
Mace?
Never needed the Heimlich. I don't even think. I mean, I guess it's just grab around somebody and squeeze really hard.
Yeah.
Have you done it
once?
Yeah.
And it was the exact. I don't want to make this sound weird. It was the setting you would want to have to do it in, because my wife is a ICU RN.
Oh, that's
okay.
right.
So she's. I knew she knew how to do it, so had I done it wrong, she would have been able to step in and fix it at the last minute. But we were out it was my family, 5 of us, and Michael, who's now 17, was probably 5 or 6 at the time,
right?
And was eating a piece of pizza, and he's chewing on the pizza and had too much cheese, and and all of a sudden, right?
Yep.
He within 30 seconds, he turns blue, like Ireland's shirt. He goes from, like we all look, to blue fast.
Right.
And he's looking around like somebody, do something.
Help me.
And I get up behind him, and Susan's like, yeah, go ahead. And I just again, he's little. He's like 6. Pop, it comes flying out across the table.
Really? Exactly like you would expect.
Like in a cartoon. All the color goes right back into his face. He sits right back
That's
down
a little
and starts
scary.
eating the pizza. It's
Goes
super
back to
scary.
the pizza?
Yeah, like it never happened.
I have a question. Why not just go directly to Susan? As opposed, she's the nurse.
Because I was sitting right next to him. Like he was sitting right next to
I'm
me.
with Andy. I think you should have called
Like,
Susan
the
from
way-
the
Now
bullpen.
I know how to do it.
The way
I know how
this
to do it.
the way this sounded when you're like Susan said, okay, it's like, you know what, let me give this a dry run.
It was probably more like, you need to do it right now. You're sitting
Okay.
next to him, but I didn't have that
Because
panicky
it sounded like,
moment.
look,
if this
I'll take
doesn't
over
work.
if this goes bad, but you want to give this a go, give it a go.
By the way, ICU nurse is a tough job, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Does she bring that home with her?
No, shockingly. She's
for her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is an incredibly positive human being.
Wow, that's
yeah,
nice.
that even in the face of things that are very not positive.
Yep.
She 30 years.
Yeah, good
30
for
years.
her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah. So you guys ready for some draft we need to do the Super Crosstalk right now, don't we, Brian?
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM, Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins. Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
All right, so it's a Thursday, so we had our draft.
Oh, yeah.
And today's draft was based on...
It's a snake draft.
It's Brian Cox's birthday.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
Emily decided that today's draft would be of our favorite iconic television characters. Okay, so that's the jumping off point. Tell us who you think won this draft. Here's Andy's list. Omar from The Wire.
Sure.
Lucille Bluth from Arrested Development.
Okay.
And Vic Mackey from The Shield.
See, never saw The Shield, so it's hard for me
so
to make
great.
a judgment.
So great.
Yeah, you and Jeff Katz. Jeff Katz loves the Shield.
It is as big a factor in the whole anti-hero stage of TV that we have right now that I think
And
Mad
was it
Men, Sopranos.
Before or after The Sopranos?
It was around the same time.
Yeah.
It was around the exact same time. It was pre-Breaking Bad.
Yeah. So like 99, 2000, right in there.
Early 2000s is when it debuted.
Yeah.
Speaking of Breaking Bad, Emily's list, she, with her first pick, got Walter White.
Nice.
Liz Lemon from 30 Rock. So, John, I know she just looped you into
Yep.
the...
I'm Team Emily all the way.
Yeah, and she took Logan Roy from Succession.
Yeah, you guys ain't beating that.
I don't know how you beat that.
All right, so Brian had Michael Scott from The Office.
Okay.
You said you've
I've never seen an episode of The Office.
It's terrific.
Yeah.
Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec.
Okay.
You know
Again,
that one?
another
Okay,
show I never watched.
You're not
yeah.
going to win Mace's vote,
Yeah,
Brian.
no, not
Sorry.
gonna happen,
Sorry, that's
Brian.
not going to happen.
Sorry.
And then this show I've never seen. Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I know. I know The Walking Dead, and I know who Rick Grimes is, but the other two I have no idea, so I cannot put them. Put you at the top of the list there.
And then my list is Homer Simpson, Don Draper, and Tony Soprano.
Your
Very
list
good
list is very strong. Emily's is better.
Yeah, I would give.
Just based on 30 Rock?
Yeah, and the fact that she's got a little.
She got
of every-
Walter
she's
White
got,
and Logan
She's
Roy.
got the best actor of my generation. Liz Lemon, 30 Rock, which for me is a home run, and then Logan Roy is a fantastic character. You have Don Draper. Homer Simpson's a cartoon. Emily wins.
Homer's a great character.
Homer,
though.
it isn't real people, John. None of these people are like real people. They're all
That's
actors.
actually a fair point.
They're all voiced
Yeah, they
by
are
human
all
beings.
So
actors.
some surprises that you guys passed on. Nobody took Cosmo Kramer.
So I almost took Jerry because, again, iconic comedy character. But no,
Right.
Andy was talking about maybe taking George Costanza.
Yeah, I would have taken George if I was to take anyone.
Yeah, you don't
from
want to take
Seinfeld.
Jerry. Jerry, and he's the one who says this, was not the funny one
Yeah,
on the
no,
show.
Jerry's the stray man.
He is.
It was basically. I said Mason and I are buddies with a guy named Peter Melman, who I used to play basketball with, and Mason's had him on his podcast. Peter was one of the writers, one of the producers of Seinfeld, and he told me once that he goes, "When you know you've got a great episode is when you have good Elaine." He goes, if you don't have good Elaine was originally not a
She
cast
wasn't in the
member.
pilot.
After about 3 episodes, they said, oh my God, this woman is talented. We got to put her in every show. And then Peter said the challenge among the writers was who's coming up with the good Elaine. And when they handed her that, she just blew it into something huge. By the way, Mason and I were
Peter,
talking
by
about
the way, wrote The Contest, if you remember that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a legendary episode.
And he had a kind of a, not a spin-off of Seinfeld, but his own show called It's Like You Know, which was basically a bunch of people. It was Seinfeld, but in L.A.
Okay.
So a bunch of friends living in an apartment in L.A. I remember in the first episode, and I go, this is how you can tell Melman lives in L.A. Somebody was home, and they were on TV, and there was a car chase on. And the girl walks in and goes, Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing was one of the people.
Jennifer Grey, exactly.
On that show. And Jennifer Grey walks in and goes, guys, I'm watching this car chase for like 2 hours. Can we watch something else? And they all look at her and they go, she doesn't know. And they went, what? He goes, give her the remote. He goes, go ahead. And she starts flipping the channels, and every channel is on a car chase.
It would have your network on all the time,
car
right?
chase channel.
The other thing about Jennifer Grey on that show is that, first of all,
she made fun of her own nose job.
She made fun of her own nose job because Jennifer Grey doesn't look like Jennifer Grey anymore. So she made fun of her own nose job on It's Like You Know.
I almost took Elaine too because
great one.
This is not an indictment of anybody else. Jerry has had success and everything. She's the only one from that show that went on and had multiple hits. Afterwards.
By the way, received an Emmy in 3 different leading roles.
Veep, Seinfeld, and that Christine show.
New Adventures of Walter Christine, which is really funny.
Other than Lucille Ball, I don't think
nobody took Lucy, by the way.
I don't think you can name anybody who is a better TV comedian than Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Tina Fey's close.
She's pretty good. I think Julie Louis-Dreyfus passed Lucille Ball for most Emmy nominations.
Yeah, she's number one.
I think she
has 23.
I don't know much about Lucille Ball, but didn't she always play Lucille Ball?
But in 3 different shows.
Okay.
She was in I Love Lucy. She was in the Lucy Show, and she was in Here's Lucy.
Right.
They just kept creating.
But that's just being Lucy.
They were just creating
Lucy,
vehicles for her.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see that Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem?
Yes, I saw it.
Oh, no.
Desi and Lucy show. Really, really good.
I thought it was
and Nicole Kidman knocks it out of the park.
She was
as
great.
Lucy.
She was great.
Yeah, she's really good.
All right, so Andy has a theory that we're talking about today, that the result of the finals, how close Miami keeps it to Denver, informs how good the Lakers are relative to the rest of the field. That's
it gives you some information in terms of gauging where the Lakers stand. If you're looking to run things back, how real,
how close were they to? Yeah,
I see your point. I don't agree with you, and here's why. They are styles make fights. It's all matchups. You can run into a team that, like the Lakers, weren't favored to beat Memphis. They weren't favored to beat the Warriors, but when they got to Denver, Denver had their number. If Denver sweeps Miami, I just think it doesn't mean Miami sucks. It means Denver just was the best.
Well, I didn't
team.
say Miami sucks. I'm talking about this purely from the Lakers' perspective.
You're saying it's a measuring stick based on
right. Miami
how,
hangs tough that it makes the Lakers getting swept.
Although,
but the Laker games were decided by an average of 6 points.
Isn't that really a function of who's hot, who's on a roll? Like Denver's clearly has had it going this postseason. Now
but they've had it going
team.
all season though.
Yeah, they have.
The thing is, nobody bought into Denver. But they were real all year.
Right.
It was everybody else.
Really, they're number 1 seed. You're
right.
right.
Well, John, I said that to you, a month or so ago when if the Denver Nuggets end up winning this whole thing, and it feels very likely that they're going to, it's going to be the revisionist history of, well, of course they were. They
were.
And
none of us thought.
Nobody thought
they were built for
seed, the best player, like all of those things.
Nobody thought they were built for a playoff run. It turns out they were.
So, with that in mind, is this the beginning of the Nuggets era where they've got the best player in the league whose skills feel super sustainable because it's not based on crazy athleticism? They've got a great complementary player in Jamal Murray. They've got all these role players. They got the right coach. They've got a team concept that seems to work really well for them. The Warriors are getting old. The Lakers are still in search of. Giannis has got to climb the mountain one. That seems to be the thing that could
Phoenix
happen
needs
over
a
and over
lot
again.
of support around them.
Right.
We've already seen Kevin Durant, Devin Booker with nothing behind them. That's not going to get it done.
I just think it's very early to call something an era. An era is a long time, right? How long is an era? What do you think? 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? What's an era? Golden State has had 10 years.
I think
the Golden State has a dynasty. It's not even. It's not even
right.
an era. You win 4 titles in 8 years?
Right.
That's a dynasty.
So that's a dynasty. An era is what?
An era
going
is
to the finals a couple years in a row.
I think
winning
it's being the team
back-to-back
to beat.
championships.
You got to win at least one, and
Right.
you got to be like we were on the verge of a Bucks era, where Giannis finally won one, a couple of MVPs, and it felt like at least that half of the draw went through them. Hasn't really worked out like that.
Okay, here's one way I would put it. Like the 2000s for the Lakers.
Yep.
You had Kobe and Shaq. That was an era because it was about half of it. Then you had Kobe and Pau, which stretched, the 2008 through 2010. It's another part of an era. I guess if you want to connect them together, these sort of unrelated teams beyond Kobe and Fisher, that could be a dynasty for the franchise for that decade. But I think those two separate parts were eras in their own right.
Yeah, I don't think we're entering a Denver era.
I don't know.
John?
I don't know.
A Denver era?
They haven't even won it yet.
Yeah.
They're gonna.
They are going. I think they will do it. I think they will win.
But you know what's interesting about them? There were several instances, like this year's a good example of this. Milwaukee fired the coach. Phoenix fired the coach. First bump in the road, fire the coach. Denver never did that. They could have cut bait on Michael Porter, who missed 2 full seasons. They could have cut bait on Jamal Murray, who missed 2 full seasons. And they just decided, we're not doing it. We believe in this group. We're going to keep them together. The Lakers, for example, and I'm obviously a Laker fan and love the Lakers. The minute they went through 2 years of not winning, they blew the whole thing up.
Well, you know what? This is where you almost get a reverse advantage sometimes from being like a mid-size or smaller market. The instinct to just cut bait immediately.
Yeah, that is true.
It doesn't dawn on you that way. You don't think about it that way because you don't automatically think you can do better. Roars.
There you go. Just random roar.
Love it.
Speaking of a roar, did you guys happen to hear the conversation we were having about mascots?
Yes.
Okay, John, did you hear it?
I didn't.
Okay. I'm just going to kind of take you through this real quick.
Okay.
How much do you think, and this is all based on what we found on the internet.
Yeah.
How much do you think the Phoenix Gorilla makes in salary?
Well, I know Rocky, the Nuggets mascot's the highest paid mascot, and he makes like $500,000. I would imagine the Gorilla probably makes $200,000.
Yes.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay. Rocky makes $625.
$625.
Benny the Bull. You want to take a stab at that one?
$150.
$400.
$400.
So Jerry
Mascots are
Reinsdorf
getting
in the
paid.
wrong damn business.
Jerry Reinsdorf was not willing to pay for Jordan and Pippen and Phil Jackson, but will pay for Benny the Bull. That's a terribly run organization right there.
What does Chuck the Condor get?
Well, he
Chuck
works
the
for
Condor.
he works for Ballmer, maybe $1 million too.
Bunch of software.
That's true. That's true. No, I look. I think
toilets.
Look up the Philly
I think
fanatic. I bet he
if
gets
we
paid.
knew we could put on some big stupid head and a dumb costume
Wait, okay, so
for
what's-
$625, wouldn't we all do it?
We would all do it, but we all couldn't do it, right? There's like the acrobat component to it, the performing component to it, just the physicality of it all. It's not. I'm not getting suspended from a harness from the top of the ball center and making that work.
Right.
That's not happening.
Yeah, you know what's funny is, do you ever watch the halftime shows at Lakers games? Are always these kind of crazy daredevil people, where you've got like this long. The last one I saw was this girl who was bouncing on this cord, jumps up in the air, does 7 flips, lands right back on the
On a tightrope.
on a tightrope.
Yeah, and she's kind of like she's an acrobat. She's kind of good looking, and everybody's like just like.
I was blown
He's
away.
he's gonna kill me, but I gotta. This is a funny story. So, Bill McDonald loves Slavic. I don't know if you guys know who Slavic
No,
is.
who is Slavic?
Slavic is a guy that they just pile chair after chair after chair after chair.
Nice.
And Slavic goes all the way up to the top. And if we get to a city and we find out that Slavic is there, Bill will not go to the bathroom. He will not leave. He will just stay in his seat. And we're all convinced that he's just waiting. The only reason he's fascinated, he's waiting for Slavic to crash and burn.
Right.
And so he always goes and gets his picture taken with Slavic. And
It's like the milk crate challenge.
I go, if he ever,
Yeah.
I said, if he ever falls, this is on you. He goes, no, I'm going to be right there. I'm going to.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
Red Panda. You count the number
Is she
of
the one
balls
with the
she
balls?
misses. Yeah, you count
Yeah.
the ones. Oh, she
That's
missed
the
one.
best one.
Oh, she missed one.
According to fanbuzz.com, the Philly Fanatic reportedly makes $600 an hour.
And Rocky, the Nuggets mascot, makes $600,000 a year.
So
25.
So the fanatic is pissed off about the pitch clock and making
Right.
these games
Right.
shorter.
They're shorter. You're right. Making less.
Me and the
money.
fanatic want to extend
Yeah, Travis
baseball
is the
games.
only one who makes games
Yes,
longer.
Trav and the fanatic want these games to last 4 hours. Super Crosstalk is powered by In-N-Out Burger. That's what a hamburger is all about. We'll see you tomorrow.